What's going on, internet? Analytic here, aka Dreams, and I'd like to welcome you to mine, which I call the Notorious Mass Effect podcast. Now, of course, before we get into the episode title and the number, which is 134, but have to start with the update. As right now, currently, I am using my new setup. So, of course, with it being a new setup, as always, let me know. Click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias if the audio is off, if certain things are not sounding like it usually is, because it's a new setup. So I'm open to any type of feedback when it comes to me using this setup, because at the end of the day, hey, when you make a new PC setup, when you make new equipment, well, build new equipment for recording, something is bound to not work correctly. So if it's not, definitely click my link tree in my bio and let me know on one of my social medias what you think I should change and what is not working or sounding like it used to. So with that being said, of course, this is episode 134. We're going to be getting into a lot of video game and hip hop topics in general, but more specifically, the title is the title. Most popular game of all time. So you already know we're going to be diving deep into the one and only Palworld. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I never thought we would be talking about a game that's actively trying to bring slavery back. But hey, here we are. And before I get further into those thoughts and that particular statement, I want to talk about how the podcast in general has been performing well. Of course, 80,000 weekly downloads. I feel like y'all really enjoy me covering not only gaming, but of course hip hop topics. And at the end of the day, I always like to give y'all I don't even know if synopsis is the right word, but basically an overview of how the podcast is performing in general and how I kind of want to attack it this year. So I'm going to be focusing more on just what works for the podcast, but also as far as streaming, which I'm streaming right now over at Wisdom, I think that's going to be an interesting tool that I'm going to be continuing to use going forward. As they're really nice over at Wisdom. They help me a lot when it comes to certain things as far as being verified and things of that nature. Not every social media platform makes you verified, so the ones that do, you try to appreciate them by putting content on their platform. So I am going to be going live on Wisdom, but the thing with Wisdom is you won't hear any of the actual audio elements when it comes from the system, whether it's beat playing in the background as you can hear right now, and you won't be able to hear some of the basically all the audio elements from my system. So Wisdom is probably the best for tuning in live if you want to potentially be a part of whatever discussion or whatever topic I'm currently covering. So that's the only reason I bring that up, as obviously podcast numbers by far and away is the best performing. YouTube is getting up there. TikTok and Twitter, well, X, I guess. They are respectable numbers, but compared to my podcast, it's just not even close. So at some point, I'm gonna have to find somebody who's better at social media than me, which is probably 90% of the population, because for some reason podcast numbers go or podcast numbers are on an upward trajectory, but as far as social media, I would say we're at a even number consistently, which is not bad. I think we do around 1,000 to 3,000 per video, but for the future, I would like to grow those numbers and see some type of growth in those numbers. So it's just me being transparent, just trying to come to you with a little bit of an update on the analytical side, because I do call myself Analytic Dreams. And one of the things about being Analytic Dreams is I'm trying to figure out the rest of my setup. So I'm like 70 to 80% finished with my entire setup. So that's why I say if anything's off, just know I'm still working on it. But as far as right now, I listen to it back. As far as testing the mic and everything, and it seems to be going well. So With that being said, before we get into episode 130, make sure to click my link here in my bio to access my social medias and to keep up on my latest activities. If you want to support the show financially, click my Cash App link located towards the bottom of my link tree, as that helps the show overall. Make sure to share this podcast, rating the show 5 stars, as this helps the show reach more people so we can grow together and affect the masses. Now, with that being said, let's get into the first topic of episode 134.
Sir, thank you, Liberty City. What a pleasure to be here at this motherfucking club. You are kicking the shit out of the club on the other side of town. Club bullshit.
You know, I think I'm just going to start every segment for this episode with a Cat Williams skit from GTA 4. Now, I don't know how in the world I found this, but somehow this crossed my timeline because, of course, we're getting into SoundCloud. People who came for SoundCloud are probably wondering, what in the world does this have to do with how SoundCloud is preparing to sell their company? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has nothing to do with that, but everything to do with your personal enjoyment. So let me just play for you a little clip from Cat Williams on GTA 4.
I'll never play there again. It's like living in a studio apartment again. You ever been in a studio apartment? It's ridiculous because it's got everything but nothing. Like, you see the living room. It's right there. There's the kitchen corner right there set up. It's just so small. You can do everything from the center.
I mean, this is legendary. I didn't even know Cat Williams was on GTA 4. You learn something every day.
Got it. All right, then. Let me open up the refrigerator. Who left my shower curtain open like that? That is ridiculous. Somebody's at the door. Hello? Hey, come on in and sit on the couch. Well, it's a love seat, but you can sit. That's how that other club was, just that small.
So anyways, with that being out the way, because of course I'm going to keep bringing those little comedic bits throughout the entire episode. But more importantly, we have to get into why in the world do we care about SoundCloud preparing to sell the company? Now, the reason why this is a big deal is because COO and CFO Drew Wilson is set to leave the company after almost 3 years in a row, right? Three whole years. I mean, not even a presidential term, but that's besides the point, right? The biggest goal for SoundCloud is to reach a valuation of 2.5 billion with the B. But the more commonly cited goal was around 1 billion. So with that being said, of course, there's a little discrepancy in the actual numbers, but the biggest thing is SoundCloud trying to reach profitability by December. So with that being said, the company ultimately is trying to sell for 1 billion, and the Rain Group and T-Mask Holdings reportedly exploring investment banks. And with SoundCloud being founded in 2007, definitely playing a significant role for creatives in general and hip hop. I mean, there was literally a whole wave of just SoundCloud rappers where we're still just recovering from that wave to this day. I mean, if Lil Yachty wasn't so pivotal in the careers of different movements in hip hop, I would say the whole SoundCloud rappers movement was atrocious. But at this point in time, it's hard to say that because we still have the likes of Lil Yachty and Uzi and a lot of other artists still impacting the charts to this day. So why am I even bringing that up? It's because covering SoundCloud, you have to understand the importance it had on hip hop. And to this point, I feel like TikTok is becoming the new SoundCloud, to where it's going to be a wave of TikTok rappers. Just like there were SoundCloud rappers, they're going to become a wave of TikTok rappers, to the point where now artists that used to pioneer the way for the upcoming musicians is no longer, well, they no longer have their stronghold on the influential part of making a musician. So where does that leave them? Obviously, that's a more elementary take on why I believe they're probably actively preparing to sell the company. But when you look at TikTok, when you look at what SoundCloud was really known for, it was discovering and blowing up musicians. at this point, it kind of seems like TikTok has definitely over overtook over overtook. Is that the right? Anyways, overridden the influential part, and they've claimed it for themselves. So the biggest thing that you need to know coming away from this is that SoundCloud is still one of the more user-friendly platforms for creators. I will still say that. But as far as a profitability standpoint, and as far as looking to reach their goals and just have certain valuations of 2.5 billion and not meeting them, I think that's the reason we're seeing this today. And for them being so influential, I mean, to the point where SoundCloud like contributes to more than 26 million as far as just services, like as far as creator tools and services, they have to front a lot of money. So that means they have to bring in a lot of money. And at this point, I don't know if they're at the same level as they used to be financially and influential wise, because of course we have TikTok. So at the end of the day, I think TikTok's the reason why SoundCloud is not going, they're not going under, but they're going to sell to somebody else, and somebody else will have to realize how to make a profitable company in SoundCloud. As with it being founded in 2007, obviously something was working because we're in 2024 and it's still going strong. So at the end of the day, I could only attribute their willingness to sell to TikTok, because I'm not going to keep, reiterating my statements, but basically that's just how I feel when it comes to why I feel like they're trying to sell. And for creatives, I think that SoundCloud is not going to be one of those platforms to push the needle going forward. I think it's going to be TikTok. It's probably going to be Twitter, and then Instagram, and then that's it. Like SoundCloud, what was it? Deezer, what was the other ones? Spinrilla. All of those platforms are becoming the new Blockbuster. Like they're still around, but as far as the influential impact that they once had in the culture, I just think is no longer there. So with that being said, a little quick business update for y'all as far as one of the more prominent platforms in hip hop and just music creation in general. So click my link tree in my bio and let me know on one of my social medias. What do y'all think about SoundCloud actively preparing to sell the company? And also, what do you think is the most influential platform for upcoming musicians? Shia Ben Abraham Joseph has earned a #1 album on the Billboard 200. Now, the biggest thing with that is, and by the way, Abraham, aka, is 21 Savage. So, American Dream by 21 Savage is interesting to the fact that it sold 133,000 first week sales, marking his highest first week sales as a solo artist. But when you think about that, you try to bring in other albums because you need to see progression for first week sales, even though some people say you don't. But first week sales is an indication on the amount of anticipation and support that you can get in a short amount of time from releasing an album. And it's really a good litmus scale when it comes to your peers. That's besides the point. So I Am I Was, which was the last album from 21 Savage. I forget how much it sold first week, but I do know that Her Loss with Drake was his most successful first week sales project, which he was a co-artist with. I think that did around like 300,000 first week. Basically, I Am I Was the first time that 21 Savage really put together like a great body of work. And now with this album, American Dream, I would say personally that he's made a similar in quality album, as his 15 tracks, not too long, not too short, has a lot of prominent features like Doja Cat, Travis Scott, and uses certain features in ways to where when he's making experimental quote unquote music where he's like getting into his R&B bag, he has actual artists to help him out in that element, whether it's a Summer Walker, Brent Faiyaz, Mariah the Scientist. So you kind of get where I'm going with 21 Savage. Usually my critique for him is that he sounds the same on every single song and every single beat. But when you start to incorporate other musicians who have drastically different sonics than you, and then you combine that with the fact that this whole rollout was using photos of each artist, like baby pictures of each artist to promote them on the upcoming album. And then you combine that with the fact that there's a film produced by Donald Glover, starring other actors like Caleb McLaughlin. I don't know how to say that. Drewski, and how it's basically chronicling. Is that word chronicling? Anyways, it's the chronicles of 21 Savage's journey from London to US. You realize that it's not only the fact that he sounds the same on each and every beat, but it's what he's saying and it's how he's packaging it to make you give him a little bit more leeway than you rather would another artist, because you see he's putting forth the effort. Some musicians that sound the same on every single track, day in, day out, they don't put forth the effort when it comes to promoting, when it comes to getting certain marketing budgets, not even marketing budgets, when it comes to putting forth money towards marketing budgets, because getting a TV show made about yourself isn't normal. Getting all of these different musicians on your album, that's not cheap. You know, I mean, if 21 Savage is not paying for it himself, somebody on his label is. Because if you didn't know, this was pretty interesting. Let me see. If you didn't know, 21 Savage is actually under exclusive license to Epic Records, meaning that he is sort of not independent, but he basically owns majority of his royalties and masters, if not all of them, because it's a exclusive license, a division of Sony Music. And obviously, to go into the details, I'll have to see the contract, and that's never going to happen. But if you look at Slaughter Gang LLC, under exclusive license to Epic Records, that's way different from mostly a majority of artists. Let's just go to a prominent artist like, let's say Gunna, right? Gunna, there's a reason why he's under exclusive license to Young Stoner Life Records / 300 Entertainment, because who's that? That's Young Thug, right? They're not going to let him go because they still need to make money off him, because, I mean, technically he snitched to get into the free world, so why not make some money off of him, Even though as a law-abiding citizen, I would just say he just told the truth. There's nothing wrong with telling the truth sometimes, And, I never advocate for black men to get locked up, only criminals. I believe every criminal should go to jail. But anyways, that's besides the point. So Abraham Joseph put out this project, American Dream, that sold what it did, which was 133,000, basically getting him another #1 album, to the point where I had to figure out, hold on, where is this at? Okay, so yeah, let me figure out how much he sold with I Am I Was, because I think that would be a pretty good litmus test. Because they said it barely outsold it. I'm trying to see how close was it. Let's just put first week. Who uses a greater symbol in the album title? Whatever. Okay, I Am I Was sold 131,000 first week. And then, oh, okay, so this is interesting. So I put in perspective all the time how streams doesn't equal or isn't the same as an album purchase, right? 21 Savage streamed 188 million with his I Am I Was album, but it only came into 131,000 album sales. So put that in perspective. 188 times somebody clicked play on your product, and 131,000 album units are moved because of that. 188 million to 131,000. That is the discrepancy when it comes to streaming and how it equals to album purchases. So I'll let y'all do the math on that. But So he barely outsold I Am I Was, but still, in fact, he did outsell it, which means he technically did his job as far as an artist, putting out a body of work and improving on what he did beforehand statistically. Maybe not, I can't even say quality wise, because if you look at the top 10, right, I think he has 2 tracks currently in the top 10, because 21 Savage is just that type of artist where he just sells. Like, his fan base is going to support him in a way that majority of his peers don't really support them like that. I'm trying to find the charts. Why do they have the chart so low? Anyways, Red Rum is number 3 on the top 5 of the Billboard charts, and then you have Nina, which is number 5. And the cross references, because technically I was looking at the Billboard's chart, but I gotta look at the I can find it. I gotta look at the overall charts. And the reason why I'm looking at the numbers is because, I call myself Analytic Dreams. So, we gotta analyze these numbers. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so 3 with Red Rum on the overall streaming charts. And then he has Nina with Travis Scott at number 5. So then he has All of Me at number 7. Another track at number 8. I think that's the one with Doja Cat. And another track at number 16. What are we at? 4? I can't count. 2, 4. We're at 5. And we have another track, Sneaky, at number 20. That's 6, 7. 21, Dangerous. So he has an actual track charting at 21, which is just so ironic. And then basically, you get what I'm saying. Like, the album is successful from a statistical standpoint, and also quality wise. It seems like people really enjoy the album, and that's basically what I wanted to touch on, because it's not going to be no drawn out review of 21, because obviously I'm not the biggest 21 Savage fan. Like, I always think that 21 Savage is very formulaic in the way he puts out his music. But as far as, well, not even put out the music, the way he sounds sonically is very formulaic. But his lyrics, his packaging of his rollout, and the whether it's a movie or TV show with the Donald Glover thing, American Dream, I think that's what made me realize that this is a quality project, because not a lot of musicians are going to put forth this much effort when it comes to getting people to recognize their music, because most artists will try to go the whole mysterious route, not compete in any stretch of the imagination on DSPs, and then act like they're still the biggest thing smoking, or the biggest discovery since sliced bread. And I'm talking directly to Playboy Cardi and his fans out there. I mean, that man to this day still ain't put a track on DSPs to compete with the big dogs in the music industry. So with 21 Savage, he put out music on DSPs, not YouTube, Deezer. Basically, he didn't put out music on non-DSPs, right? And basically, the things that I want to talk about is why that is. And I think it's simply because 21 Savage is more influential in the hip-hop space than people give him credit for. When it comes to the Uzis, the Cardis, the Destroy Lonely, or Ken Carson's, the Yeats, I think 21 Savage is up there, as far, not even up there, he surpassed them, and is really only comparable to, I would say, maybe a Uzi and a Kodak. Even though Kodak sometimes doesn't sell like he should, but that's besides the point. So anyways, 21 Savage definitely put out high quality body of work, and I just think the biggest thing with him and the way that he sells is just the authenticity in the way he actually packages his music. Because I mean, the album before that with I Am I Was, I think he had Morgan Freeman. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he literally had Morgan Freeman narrating like throughout the entire album. And if that's not packaging, I don't know what is. So to counteract the monotone, the formulaic sonics that he's always given us, whether the bars are good or not, I think the packaging is by far and away the best thing about 21 Savage's music. I mean, I think I saw his music in a Mortal Kombat video one time. I think it was Mortal Kombat X or some type of launch trailer. And I don't know if it was a launch trailer. It was like a reveal trailer. And they had 21 Savage music playing in the background. I was like, how did this happen? So, anyways, I always like to see the packaging with business minds like a 21 Savage. And I think he did the same thing with this one. Like he really, as far as the quality of marketing promotion, it was really high with American Dream. So anyways, let's get into the actual album and review. It's not going to be too long. Basically, I'm not going to go track from track because, you know, if you're not Drake, Nicki, Travis, like, you know, you really ain't going to get that type of review from me. And I do think that 21 Savage is, his album currently is in my top 5 of the year. But, I mean, if you look at when this came out, it's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, American Dream, just giving an overview of it because I'm not going track for track. I'll probably give my least favorites and my favorites, right? As a body of work, it's pretty solid. I would say it's solid, especially for a person like 21 who has a certain tone to where he doesn't really, he's not able to switch it up, I don't think, like at all. So even when he gets into his singing bag, like the one with Brent Faiyaz, I would say was the only track. What was that at? What was the track with Brent Faiyaz? Summer Walker. Did he not list Brent Faiyaz as a credit? Or can I not read? I probably can't read. That's probably what it is. Oh, here it is. Should have worn a bonnet. So that track is at first I thought the track was pretty trash because the whole running from it and then how he was repeating it, I was like, that's just trash. But after listening to it, I was like, it's serviceable. Like it went from trash to serviceable for me. And that was one of 2 tracks I skipped on this album to let you know how much I enjoyed it, right? So the track with Young Thug, that should have just not been on the album. The only reason, and that's the one with the poop bar. I didn't even realize that when it first came out. Like everybody on the internet, they was like, hey, that man said some like it poop. I was like, I must have missed that one because I just wasn't. I don't really focus on 21 for the bars, but we're gonna get to some in a second about him and his bars. But basically, the poop bar, I did not notice it at all when I listened to it because I heard it. I was like, this seems very low effort from 21 Savage and Young Thug, and so I skipped it. So that's probably by far and away my least favorite track off of this album. And I don't know if he just put this on here to like support Young Thug because 21 Savage comes across, obviously we don't know him personally, but from a bird's eye view, he comes across as a guy who will literally put Young Thug in his album to make all the proceeds from this particular track go to whatever whatever the fees are for his lawsuit, if that makes sense. I don't know why. I'm probably reaching, but I just feel like he's that type of guy to put a Young Thug feature on his album solely to give him all the proceeds from that track to feed whatever lawsuit he's going through or with his family. So that's the only reason I think that track is on this. But honestly, I think it's trash. So with that being said, my favorite tracks is by far and away Dark Days. I like when artists get into the introspective bag, and if you're a follower of the podcast, you already know. I love artists that give their life experiences through the music and give real dense messages with just information. And dense, I say that because, I mean, obviously a track can't be no longer than 3 to 4 minutes or they're going to say you're overdoing it. So it has to be dense with information, but not in a way that it just sounds preachy. And for Dark Days, I think 21 Savage nailed the balance of giving a certain message, but then also letting people know that it's still a replayable track. Like sometimes you give a preachy type message and now it's just lost all replayability because you can't really bump that in a whip when you're trying to turn up. You know what I mean? So Dark Days was pretty fire. Had a nice beat to go with it. I like how he used Mariah the Scientist in a Jay-Z type of way. Like he was just giving the bars, and then for the chorus he let Mariah take care of that, which made it an even more phenomenal track. So that was the standout for me. That was my favorite track off of that album. Number 2, I'll probably say the track with Doja Cat, Simply for Doja. I know I'm kind of cheating with that one, but hey, Doja Cat went crazy. It's the reason why I had her on my top 5 rappers of 2023 list, and she was top 3 because she's just one of the more talented rappers I've heard in the past probably 2 to 3 years. And I would say her vocal inflection is why, because it's almost Lil Wayne Kendrick-esque. I say Nicki too. They're probably the best at changing your vocal inflection in a way that's just leaps and bounds above everybody else. Because, you know, your voice is what you're born with. But as far as vocal inflection and the way they change it, I think obviously you could work on it, but you know what, your voice and the way you're born with it, only certain people could have that type of instrument just come naturally from them. I think Doja Cat is one of those where she's rapping in one tone, rapping in another, and then obviously drastically changing her vocal inflection to either emphasize a point or just whisper something. Like she had a whole like running ad lib throughout her verse, basically saying ad lib, and that type of stuff is like, I'm not gonna say it's mind blowing, but that type of stuff, to pull that off, I think it's attributes towards the vocal inflection. Because even if you say something whack, it's the way you say it that makes people resonate with it, if that makes sense. Especially in hip hop, because it's so subjective that you just have to make people believe that what you're saying is fire. And for Doja Cat, she does a great job at rapping and giving double, triple entendres and making it sound in a way that's just a lyrical masterclass, to where when she gets on this track and starts to literally do ad-libs by saying ad-lib, we let it fly because we know what she's capable of. As this same year, she put out, I think it was Jesus, I don't know. It was a track with Kodak Black off of, I forgot the movie already. The Book of Clarence, that movie. Basically, she had a track with Kodak Black, and that honestly, that's probably my favorite track of this year that I've heard. She went crazy on it. Kodak went crazy, but it's just another prime example of two artists who are lyrically gifted, just giving their all in a track. And I think that was another great showing by Doja Cat. So I had to highlight that on this album as well. And as far as my third favorite track off this album, I mean, I would have to go with Red Rum. I mean, Red Rum is just straight fire. I mean, honestly, I felt kind of slow. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Let me tell you something. When people were saying the fun fact on Twitter, how Red Rum spelled backwards was murder, and everybody was in the comment section like, man, well, next you're gonna tell me the sky is blue or the grass is green, and you know, that was just so obvious, right? You know, everybody was just in the comment section talking about, oh wow, thank you for pointing that out. I would have never figured it out. And here I am. I'm sitting down looking at my phone, and I was flabbergasted. I was like, wow, that's what it. That's crazy. You know, the whole time I'm thinking like Red Rum, some type of special drink where he's from. You know, the whole time I'm not putting in my mind that it spells murder backwards, right? It's just it's as a law-abiding citizen, I just don't think of things how to creatively rap about murder like that. So when I heard it, I was like, dang, Red Rum must be the fire drinking town. That's crazy. He's really tapped in. Whole time I was just out of the loop, and it was one of my I would say not so special, but if you really think about it, technically it was special because the way that I was just unaware of how it was murder spelled backwards. So yeah, do with that what you will. But anyways, it's not going to be a deep dive into 21 Savage's album, because at the end of the day, there's really nothing to deep dive into. I mean, if you heard it once, you've probably heard all the bars. Like, not to disrespect 21 Savage, but you know, he's not really an introspective rapper in that sense. I mean, that's why Dark Days is my favorite, because I think that's where he got the closest to actually giving us like a lyrical performance. What else? Yeah, that's probably it. There was something else I wanted to touch on. Trying to find it. Oh, the film. Okay, so the film is coming out sometime this year, I think. I don't know when it's actually coming out. I do know he's going on tour. Let me see if there's anything else. He's going on tour, and currently he has 2 tracks in the top 10 on Billboard. And yeah, man, that's basically it. I guess I guess 21 Savage lives to see another day when it comes to not putting out mediocrity. So unfortunate, because I was really ready to, talk about how Drake is the only reason, but I can't really do that right now. So got to be fair when it calls for it, I guess. Even though hip hop is subjective, so I could have still, but hey, I didn't do it. So anyways, that's really all I have for the American Dream album. Not really too much of an in-depth review, just an overall coverage of sales, and then my personal insight into the album. And not even insight, just my personal review of the album. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about 21 Savage's album, American Dream? And what was your favorite track off of that album?
Hi, I'm new to Liberty. They're gone. Gone. It's moving so fucking fast, it's ridiculous. So I decided I was gonna get a car, but you gotta be careful. Gotta be careful, because shopping for a car is dangerous.
I just gotta let y'all know that we're gonna keep with the theme of playing Cat Williams comedy bits throughout this whole entire episode, because let me tell you something. Why nobody tell me that Cat Williams was on GTA 4? I had to find that out randomly on my timeline, but hey, here we are. So now that I found this gem, here's another comedy bit from the one and only Cat Williams.
You got a raggedy car, you go to the lot, these motherfuckers keep trying to trick you. Don't take the test drive, that's all I'm gonna say. Don't take the fucking test drive. Test drive is the trick. It's to show you how much better this shit is than your shit, so you can't even go back to your car again. Here I've been sitting on vinyl with creases on in my back and become accustomed to the raggedness of the seat.
Not the back.
Motherfuckers put me in a chair. I didn't even want to drive the car. I wanted to watch television. I was just laying there comfortable. Test drive it. Test drive it. Don't do it. Don't do it, especially if you ain't got good credit, because they become two different salespersons. Right when you first walk in, they're the friendliest motherfuckers in the world. Make you feel good about yourself. How are you, sir? Might I offer you some popcorn, some cheese bits, and some coffee? Well, that's an odd combination, but I haven't had popcorn in a while. Don't mind if I do. Thank you. Coffee, yes. Yes, I'll have. And you said cheese bits?
Can y'all believe that this whole comedy sketch was in the midst of GTA 4?
Make you feel good about it, and then they go in the back room and check your fucking credit and come out like you're an alien from another land. Just, sir, I just ran your credit score. You think this is a motherfucking game?
All right, we're gonna stop it right there. So anyways, the whole reason for the segment is to talk about Snoop Dogg, which I don't know what it is about Snoop Dogg, but he makes news in the most unorthodox ways possible. Like, whether he's commentating a boxing match, whether he's trying to sell a smokeless stove, or whether he's turning down $100 million from Onlyfans and just gave us that information like it was normal. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that last little tidbit was what we're going to cover for this segment, as Snoop Dogg apparently, unprovoked, just came out and told us that he turned down a $100 million deal from OnlyFans. And basically, he said this during an interview on Instagram live series Wake and Bake with Double S Express. How do I know this? Hey, just know with my job, somehow, some way, this is the type of information that people are entertained by. So Snoop Dogg declined, right? But why did he decline? Well, if you look at the Analytic Dreams video version of this podcast, which on Spotify exclusively, the video version along with the audio, you will see that this is the reason why he declined the deal. Yes, no, it's not because of his standards. It's not because of his religious beliefs. It's not even because he didn't want to do it. He said it's only because his wife, right? It's only because of his wife that he turned this down, stating, quote, and this is a quote from Snoop Dogg himself, "Ain't no way in the world she gonna allow me to go on there and pull that thing out for no amount of money." Now, I don't know what he was referring to when he said that thing, but I mean, to each his own, right? This man didn't say no. He didn't say he didn't want to do it. He just said his wife wasn't going for that. And basically, they have been together since their teenage years. Now, I know good and dang well that they ain't been together since their teenage years. So once I seen that, I was like, hold up now. I almost pulled a Kobe Bryant, but I ain't gonna do it. You know what Kobe did to Shaq? I ain't gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Or I think Kobe definitely. Anyways, so we're gonna let that slide, right? So they've been married, happy relationship, faithful relationship. Anyways, so Snoop Dogg explained that true love and mutual sacrifice has been the foundation of his enduring marriage with Shanti Brodus. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I don't even know. Despite potential financial gain, Snoop Dogg stood tall and prioritized his wife's feelings over joining OnlyFans. Y'all snap it up from Mr. Snoop Dogg himself. You know what I mean? Only on the Notorious Mass Effect will you get this type of pertinent information along with the Cat Williams GTA 4 stand-up. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about the very important information of Snoop Dogg just coming out of the blue and telling us he turned down a $100 million offer from OnlyFans? And what do you think was the real reason he turned that down? So as you can see, this is a very interesting promotional trailer from the Queen of Music's IG profile. And of course, it's because she is announcing a new hair care brand. Hopefully I pronounce this right, but I think it's Secret. Anyways, as you saw right there, secret.com is where you can get more information about that. But this whole venture starts February 20th. And Beyonce, of course, shared this video and let people know that, I bet you didn't know, my first job was to, oh yeah, here it is right here. So Beyonce's IG said, quote, "How many of y'all knew my first job was sweeping hair in my mama's salon? Destiny's Child got our story a start," on my phone, I can't read, "by performing for clients while they were getting their hair done. I was exposed to so many different kinds of entrepreneurial women in her salon. I saw firsthand how the ways we nurture and celebrate hair can directly impact our souls. I watched her heal and be of service to so many women. Having learned so much on our hair journey, I've always dreamed of carrying on her legacy. I can't wait for you to experience what I've been creating. Love, B." So anyways, of course, Beyonce's starting a hair care service titled Secret. And of course, you can learn more at secret.com. It's CECERED.com. Obviously, I was playing the video, so you would have saw that as well. If you're listening to the audio version, just know I have a video-specific channel on Spotify titled Analytic Dreams Video to see the video along with the audio. So anyways, getting a little bit more into the background of what she's hinting towards right here. Her mom's salon, obviously she worked at, her early connection to hair care, and her first job, of course, before the Destiny Child basically took off. Well, the group basically took off. So some of the other plans way back in May 2023 was hinted upon as Beyonce emphasized her dream of continuing her mother's legacy in the beauty industry, which makes sense. Obviously, you see a lot of different women in today's game running it by fashion and hair and just all other different ventures. But I say fashion and hair really because, you know, of course you have makeup products as well, because the biggest things that come to mind is Fenty with Rihanna, Kylie's makeup products, I forget what they're called, and then Kim Kardashian's Skims, There's a lot more, but basically the way they run up their bag really is through the fashion and makeup industry, as what I've been witnessing over the past decade. So now Beyonce's here to compete with her secret brand. And also the video showed a mix of a lot of different people as far as hair textures in the video. So showing that it's going to be catering to all. And what else? That's basically it. People are excited about this Beyonce venture into the beauty space and the anticipation, everything that comes with it. I don't know if we'll get new music from Beyonce, but it seems like she's completely changing what she's focusing on for this year, and that is her venture into the beauty space, which is now revealed to be called Secret. So remember, secret.com, secred.com for updates and information. I'm not no PR for Beyonce, but hey, now you know what's upcoming for Beyonce's next pathway into the entrepreneurial side of things. So anyways, click my link here in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Beyonce's new beauty venture titled Secret? And will you be giving it a test run when it eventually releases February 20th? Alright, so before we get into the actual Verizon and Beyonce Super Bowl trailer, we have to acknowledge the fact that everybody and their mom is at the Super Bowl right now, which entails that the Super Bowl is obviously not for the everyday common folk as far as the price point. But if you can afford it, and hopefully you can afford it and not just pulling your life savings, then it's probably a nice event to be at for the in real time entertainment that you're probably receiving. But as far as the people at home, we have the commercials and obviously the Super Bowl halftime show that just happened, which was phenomenal, by the way. And also, shameless plug, Usher halftime show Analytic Dreams to hear my preview of the actual show. And if I do say so myself, I think I was on the nose. But anyways, so Beyonce has a new Super Bowl commercial, which begs the question, where's Taylor Swift? Let me chill. So anyways, obviously, let's get into the actual commercial. It's not going to be a long breakdown, as I just want to watch it with y'all. As always, video version along with the audio Analytic Dreams video on Spotify. So with that being said, let's get into the video. And also, last disclaimer, this is off Twitter. I couldn't find it on YouTube or any of the official accounts from Beyonce, Verizon. None of them posted the actual commercial, which makes no sense. So now we have to watch it on Twitter. So as far as the quality, that's why it's like that. But anyways, let's get into the actual video.
Broke the internet again.
Oh, it's coming in really fast.
Yeah, it's Verizon 5G. The network is crazy powerful. I bet you can't break that.
Bet I can.
Wait, what?
Beyonce breaks the internet, but can she break Verizon?
Broken?
Not even close.
Time for a surprise drop.
I love this callback because if you don't know, Andre 3000 put out a saxophone album. Obviously, was it a saxophone? It was a flute album. Sorry, I had to correct myself. And it was just strictly instrumentals of flute sounds. And it was just something he was passionate about and wanted to put out to the public. So now we have an entire Andre 3000 album. New album, might I add. But it's just straight flutes. Now, who asked for that? Nobody. You're correct. But he put it out for the world to hear. So anyways, let's get back into the parody of Beyonce. Well, Beyonce kind of technically parodying that. As great as Beyonce is, we don't want to just hear her playing the saxophone on the entire album. Same goes for Andre 3000 and the flute. But, you know, I don't think nobody told him that while he was making the flute album. But anyways, let's get back into the trailer.
Did I break it?
You broke me. Oh, no.
Introducing Beyonce.
What the?
Seriously? How about Barbie?
No.
Ain't gonna lie, Barbie is a hit.
How about Barbie?
That would be a hit.
I'm running.
Okay, hold up. The actual video, the actual video just froze. You gotta love Twitter. Hold up, give me 1 second. I don't think that's on my side. Yeah, no, that's definitely Twitter. You gotta love how it just, well, technically it's called X, I guess. Maybe if I called it its right name, it'll work for me. But anyways, let's get back into it. Yeah, I don't know why I just froze. But anyways, all right. So technical difficulties aside, obviously the trailer is pretty fire. At the end of the day, when you really do get into Verizon and Beyonce, obviously it's going to be on the, oh, here we go. Obviously when they get on the scale where it's just breaking the internet, and there's a reason why I broke the internet, but I didn't want to spoil it, so let's get back into the video.
Running for Beyonce of the United States. Can you hear me now?
No breaking.
How about the first woman to launch the first rocket for the first
performance in space. Why not? Verizon didn't break.
You ain't gonna break me.
Still works.
Okay, they ready. Drop the new music.
And that right there, this little sound bite right here.
Still works.
Okay, they ready. Drop the new music.
Now, if there's no new music to come because of this trailer, I'm going to be upset. And that's all I got to say. I just wanted to play the entire trailer just to let y'all know that Beyonce lied to us. Beehive, we have to start some type of riot, some type of... I can't even think of what we would actually have to do to affect change, but we have to go to the White House, something like that, make some type of, I don't even know if you could actually advocate for that. So anyways, let's be peaceful in our protest for new Beyonce music, because if she's just going to promise new music and not give it to us, we will and we shall riot. And yeah, that's all I got. So anyways, that's the Verizon Beyonce trailer. Obviously, all jokes and parody off of a lot of different pop culture that happened in 2023. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think of the Beyonce Super Bowl commercial? And also, what is your favorite Super Bowl commercial of all time and in this particular Super Bowl Chiefs versus 49ers game? You know, one of the biggest things about the gaming industry is never knowing what is exactly the most anticipated. So whenever you're making a list of the most anticipated games of 2024, I had to look at a plethora of different sites because, of course, I'm only one man. Even though I did play 14 games last year, you know, I do consider myself a gamer, even though it comes with the sweaty tag and the tag of not taking care of hygiene. But with that being, you know, put to the side, I would say, and I do say, for my fellow critiquers out there about gamers, that we do shower sometimes. So anyways, most anticipated games of 2024, we got to get into it. And this is probably the best list I've seen, as it captivated a lot of the video games that I've seen throughout the end of 2023 being anticipated. So first off, obviously we have to start with PowerWorld. Now, I know it may be cheating to start with a game that's already been impactful in 2024, and literally this whole episode is covering, well, the main topic for this episode is this particular game. But with that being said, that means I couldn't leave it off this list. So the most anticipated game for 2024 would have to be PowerWorld, because even though, you know, I think it's very interesting in how you can capture a human and then go somewhere else. And if you need a task done, you can bring that human out. And then when you're done with it, you can put it back into his little ball, Pokemon style, right? Now, I call that something else as a black man in America. But, you know, teach his own, right? Maybe it's not that serious. Maybe, you know, capturing a human, using him to do your deeds, and then putting him back in capture. Maybe that's something else. You know, maybe I'm just ignorant, honestly. So, besides that fact, there's a lot of survival crafting elements in that video game, and there are 100 plus, I don't know what they call them, but pals. That's what they're called. The 100 pals, which, you know, is basically Pokemon, but it's its own game because the mechanics are different enough to where it's more of a survival type game. I would say it's Minecraft meets Pokemon, but I don't know. Somebody else may be like, no, it's definitely this mixed with that. And I'm be like, hey, I ain't looked that deep into it. All I seen is, you know, I seen certain things about the game. I watched the game for like 3-4 hours, watched somebody play it, because of course I was a little hesitant on playing the game myself. And then I seen the rise in success. And of course, like any fair weather fan, I was like, oh, I probably got to cover this. So when I was getting into it, it definitely seems like it's going to find itself into a lot of controversy. But since this is not specifically talking about the game, I'm just going to leave those facts there, as that is probably why it ended up on my most anticipated games for 2024. Now, what else is on my list? I have Avowed. Now, if you don't know what it is, Avowed is more of a Skyrim experience, and this is a fantasy action adventure game, and basically set in the world of it's EORA, because if I mispronounce it, I know you're gonna kill me, but it's Aura. Hold up, I'm about to play this. Give me a second. I think I could play this straight from the
Eora made famous.
Eora. Okay. Anyways, I try my best. Don't laugh at me. You know what I mean? Hey, I'll put it out there for y'all to hear it. So, it's set in the world of Eora, and basically this came from the Pillars of Eternity franchise, and Obsidian it has a very spotless track record of making excellent games. So that is why Avowed is on my list, as Obsidian, with their excellence as far as their just discography of games they've made, I think this is just going to be another achievement and another badge of honor as far as how maybe the best gaming franchise right now. I mean, if you talk about no duds, I mean, we kind of have to point out a CD Projekt Red or a Rockstar, but as far as just like branching out and doing a variety of different things under the same umbrella as far as gaming developer, I would say Obsidian has a very, very high standard of just quality driven games. So with this in Avowed, obviously we don't have no release date as of yet, but I would say it's going to be fire, and especially when it comes out, a lot of people are just going to really want to enjoy this fantasy action adventure game, and it's just going to be one of those type of games where it's going to make a lot of noise in the gaming community. I mean, any type of Obsidian made game is going to make a lot of noise, so that's why I ended up on this list. Now, next, for my fighting game fans out there, and for my avid listeners of the podcast, you definitely know that I got into the competitive side of gaming whenever I figured out that I was really good at fighting games. I don't know what it is. I think it's basically, I'm not going to say it's exactly like chess, but just being placed on a board and you versus that other person. And basically there's no type of RNG. There's no luck that happens in the match. It's just, you use your tools at your advantage. He uses his tools, and y'all try to counter each other, literally. And for me, that factor into fighting games is what I've always enjoyed as far as playing them. So that is why I would say that that's my favorite track. I'm talking about music. That is why that is my favorite game. So I would say that that's probably why Tekken 8 is on my list. So as far as Tekken 8, and I forgot to bring the game titles up while I was talking about it. But anyways, as far as Tekken 8, I would say that this is very anticipated for the simple fact that obviously it's been almost a decade since Tekken 7 has came out, and with Tekken 8 coming on the heels of Mortal Kombat just completely butchering its release date of such an incredible gameplay loop mechanic, I would say. And the way I say butchering that is because, it's everything about packaging. It's the story, which I think was solid all the way into the end, which it was like atrocious. Such a bad ending to where like the whole story I wouldn't want to play again, because it just totally derailed at the end. Almost seemed like, the stockholders or whatever told them like, hey, if you don't put this game out by this time, then we're cutting funding or whatever. And so they just forced the product out. So anyways, even though the gameplay loop was fun, they didn't have basic modes in the game, and just quality of life improvements into the game. More specifically, probably the practice, not having like the ability to list out buttons on the screen while you're trying to practice, like just stuff like that. Whereas Street Fighter had all of that. Like Street Fighter had everything and more when it comes to servicing your audience. So now with Tekken 8, because first Street Fighter came out, then Mortal Kombat came out and basically butchered its whole release, and then you get into Tekken 8, where it's shaping up to have more of an old school environment as far as just like online modes and future tournaments. Basically, you know, giving the players what they need to have a longevity type game. Because obviously you see with Mortal Kombat, you put out a game with, I think, is one of the more fun gameplay loops in a while from them. But if you don't surround it with quality content, then it's just going to die by the wayside. And I think that's what happened to Mortal Kombat, which is why Tekken now is next up as far as the biggest fighting game. And that's why it's made my list for the most anticipated for 2024. So number 7, this is going to be, well, it's not number 7 for me. But anyways, as far as this article, one of the things I wanted to touch on was this game that's already came out. And it's called The Prince of Persia. Now, the reason I want to touch on this game is because not only is it one of the most anticipated for 2024, but it's also doing pretty well as far as the masses, because I do think that when it comes to making a Prince of Persia game, from the previous Prince of Persia, I already had this type of it was interesting to where people already had this type of perception where the game wouldn't be as good because, I don't know, the previous game wasn't good. Like, it had a stench of not expecting much because the previous game wasn't, you know, blow your mind type quality. So with this Prince of Persia game to already be out, to get the reviews that it's gotten, and deservedly so, as a lot of people are saying that it's one of the best Prince of Persia games maybe ever. So that's why I had to hop on my list, because I think when it comes to putting games out, and especially in today's age, it's super hard to develop a game. And I don't think a lot of people keep that in mind when they're talking about certain games that's actually functional, that's actually having certain combat mechanics that's smooth and story elements that plays along with the combat. It's just a lot of things that goes into developing a game, and that's just more at the surface level. I'm talking about, like, that's very surface level. So for Prince of Persia to come out like it did and to get these rave reviews, I think it's definitely one of the more surprising releases that garnered so much praise. It reminds me of Hi-Fi Rush, the amount of praise that Prince of Persia has received. So anyways, going into the next game, we have Star Wars. Now, y'all knew that this was going to be on my list, because let me tell you something. If y'all don't think Ubisoft is going to take this time to just put everything around the map, then y'all are mistaken. They're going to try to make this game in a way that you have to play at least 100 hours just to get to Act 2. Like, they're going to be like, we have the rights to make a Star Wars game, and with Ubisoft, man, that is a crazy dangerous combination. I mean, the amount of stuff that's about to be on the map is going to be flabbergasting. Like, it's just going to be so many little protected outposts. Oh, can you help me with this task type missions that you're not going to know? You're going to lose count. You're going to lose count. So for Star Wars Outlaws, all jokes aside, I think it's going to be pretty solid. It's very interesting how this is coming out when Star Wars is going through their tumultuous time. I mean, rather than, you know, Jedi Survivor, which, you know, that game to this day, like, if they made a movie about Cal Kestis, all I gotta say is that is gonna print money in itself, because there's not one character out there in Star Wars history that I want to see more than Cal Kestis. And it reminds me of when I used to watch Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars show back on, I think it was Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. It was one of them. I think it was Cartoon Network. But anyways, yeah, I don't think I've really enjoyed a character's arc like Cal Kestis since Anakin and Clone Wars. And if you never played the game, just hey, you got to play it to understand, because Cal Kestis is really shaping up to be one of the best Star Wars characters of all time. And I know that's a high praise, but I would say I'm a Star Wars fan. I know a lot of different characters, and especially playing the Lego games, you definitely get to know the characters. When I was like a little kid playing the characters, and you get to know that it's like all type of people with Jedi, like with lightsabers. I thought that was like a sacred thing. When you come to realize everybody got a lightsaber, like he got a lightsaber, she got a lightsaber, like, so for me, I'll probably say that's high praise as far as Cal Kestis being like one of the better characters in Star Wars history. So anyways, getting into the last and final game for my most anticipated for 2024, I have to put my man Cloud, because I'm not gonna lie to you, Final Fantasy Remake had no business going that hard. Like the way they remade the game, I know I was making a big deal out of make sure I didn't put that too big. I know I was making a big deal out of Resident Evil, I think it was 7, 5, I don't care. But whatever remake Resident Evil did and how it had nominations for the Game Awards last year, I feel the exact opposite for Final Fantasy VII, because I think the remake was so, from a foundational standpoint, I think it was so changing to the mechanics and the gameplay loop that it deserves nominations, and let alone deserving. It should actually win some of the awards in the Game Awards show, because I just think they upgraded everything. Like, it's not even from a graphic standpoint. Usually that's what remakes are for, to upgrade the graphics, basically make you feel like it looked as it did when you was a kid. That's basically what remakes are, to make it look like, oh, this is up to date, like you used to look at it when you was a kid. But now it's kind of like when you revamp the whole gameplay mechanics, 'cause I think it used to be a turn-based, to the point where now, I mean, obviously you have certain turn-based elements, but it's really more of an action RPG more than anything turn-based related. So, and it's open world experience, and its graphics are on point to where it's like a completely new game. It seems like it's a completely new game. So for that alone, I would say that this is probably the top most anticipated game for me, and from what I've seen, a lot of other people out in the gaming space. So I would just caution everybody, because obviously it says February 29th. When this game comes out, prepare to be flooded with Final Fantasy VII content, because it's just one of those games where, I mean, we already know what's going to happen because the story's been done like 20 million times. I mean, it's almost like if they made a remake anime show of like Naruto or something. Like, we know how the story plays out, but it's the fact that they took the time to show us they actually cared about revamping and upgrading everything in the game. I mean, I think they even changed the story to a point, like I think they changed certain plot points that's going to be different going forward. I have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure they changed something pivotal about the plot, so that's going to be a little different. Like, they're not just following it beat for beat, or else, the diehard Final Fantasy fans already know what's going to happen. So, I think that's basically it. So, yeah, Final Fantasy is a good game to leave it off on. So, for my top most anticipated games of 2024, obviously, those were my list. I guess I could go back through it just in case you forgot it. Let me see, where is this at? Here we go. So yeah, the most anticipated games I have for 2024. Of course, I start off with PowerWorld. And I'm not gonna go PowerWorld. We have this whole episode is based on that game being the main topic. So I'm gonna get to that in a second. Then we had Avowed, basically because Obsidian's track record is it's just literally one of the best track records ever in gaming development history. So Avowed. Taken 8, simply because I'm a fighting game head. Well, I'm a fighting gamer, like at my core. What else? Prince of Persia is more of a dark horse in the 2024 run, because I don't think really people gave it the respect it deserved before it came out, because we didn't think it would be this well made. And so it's definitely the dark horse of the game industry currently. And then we had Star Wars Outlaws, which I mean, that should speak for itself. I mean, Star Wars. This is literally a video game set in the Star Wars universe. That should, that should cover everything. And then we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So, of course, the thing that set that up was the previous game, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And for this to be the sequel to that, we're going to expect not only quality content, but also to be an extension of what they already accomplished before it. So that's why it's so anticipated, because we've already seen that they've went in, changed everything to the point where even the main story is a little different. So people can't wait for the sequel to it. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What is your most anticipated game of 2024? And also, I'm gonna wait for that question. But yeah, what is your most anticipated game personally for 2024? The time has come to talk about Square Enix basically taking it upon themselves to hold up the quality of the gaming industry. Now, even though it's a sad reality in the gaming space that development studios are shutting down left and right, people are laying off 50 to 60% of the workforce. Now let's just focus on the entertainment and just the fun factor of the gaming industry, which is quality games, which also is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So currently what you're seeing on the screen right now, which if you are listening to the audio version, just go to Analytic Dreams video on Spotify to see the video along with the audio. Sony and Square Enix has released more information. And not only that, the demo is now available to PlayStation players. So only PlayStation 5 players can play the demo. I know that's a whole nother discussion. Xbox people, well, while you last, let me chill. Sorry, that was too soon. It was too soon. Anyways, we're gonna get to y'all in a second. It's not looking good for y'all. But as far as my PlayStation players, every PS5 owner can play the now playable demo of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And as you see right here, this is gameplay, literal live gameplay from the demo. So that's what you're seeing on the screen. Anyways, completing the demo unlocks special gear in a story skip in the main game. But that's not what I really wanted to focus on. What I wanted to focus on, here we go. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth officially releases February 29th. So that's the day. If you don't get anything out of this segment, you need to know that the confirmed release date for this game, the entire game, which will be massive, humongous, will take you probably months to beat, will eventually release February 29th, 2024. And the collector's edition includes a steelbook, DLC, in-game accessories, and a 19-inch Sephiroth Sephiroth statue priced at $350. Man, paying $350 for 19 inches, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. I don't know what we got, you know what I mean? Hey, humanity has a long way to go. That's all I gotta say. So anyways, PS5 exclusive, of course, not gonna, potentially it could be coming to PC. That's what was said to occur, as far as a lot of PS5 exclusives sometimes come to PC, but for this particular game, they said it's definitely coming to PC. There's potential, but I think it's definitely coming to PC later down the line. You know what console won't be coming? Let me chill. My fault. All right, let's keep going. Xbox players are gonna kill me. So basically, a lot of gameplay features and mechanics are going to be implemented as far as the new addition to Final Fantasy VII. I mean, you have different synergy moves, of course, with new characters, relationships, and the unique nature of the relationship. Obviously, you have the 13 members. No, that's Red 13. I'm tripping. The party members with unique mechanics, and the continuation of the Final Fantasy VII story, which you should already know. Sephiroth's survival a lot of other things. Tifa facing challenges. Character list includes Aerith, Tifa, Barrett, Red 13, Sephiroth, Yuffie, I don't even know how to say that, Vincent, Kate Sith, Elena, Rude, and Vincent Valentine. Valentine. Okay, yeah, I can't read. Vincent Valentine. So with that being said, obviously, Square Enix is shaping up to give us a contender for Game of the Year, as it already looks amazing. They said the improvements, as you can see right here, obviously, the improvements from the first game is just way better than what it used to be, because obviously technology has advanced. So you would hope that the graphics, I mean, if you just go to the original Final Fantasy 7 to now, I mean, it's not even like it's not even comparable. It's night and day. It's probably even more blatant of a difference than night and day, but I can't think of a better example. So anyways, PS5 exclusive initially, and potential for a PC release. Obviously, Xbox players, we're going to get to y'all in a second, because it's been a lot of behind the scenes talk on whether or not y'all are even going to exist in the next 3 to 5 years. But that's besides the point. You know, no need to beat a man when he's down. I totally forgot that phrase, but it's something like that. Hold a man when he's down, kick a man. Oh, kick a man when he's down. That's what it is, because y'all are definitely down. Just to, put it in perspective. Y'all are down. I'm not going to kick y'all. I'm just going to let y'all know that y'all on life support. But that's for a potential, future segment. Not for right now. So what else? We're going to get into some other stuff about the game. Obviously, it showcases iconic locations such as the Cosmo Canyon, the Nibelheim, what in the world? Mini games, new companions. Oh, there was a mini game. Okay, hold up. Oh, I don't think I have it up there. But anyways, there's this card game. Let me see if I can find it. There's this card game that a lot of people was talking about, that hopefully I can find it. Card game. Oh, here we go. I found it. Okay, so there's a card game, and apparently this wasn't the original game. So this right here. I know it's a blurry image, but that's the best thing I'm working with right now. So it's a card mini game, but there's also other mini games with new companions, tag team attacks, classic characters, and features Vincent Valentine and one-winged Sephiroth. I don't know what the difference is between one wing and two wings, but hey, I'm not a Final Fantasy 7 player. I don't know nothing about the story. I was thinking about playing it for fun, and then realized I'll be completely lost. There's really no point in me playing it. So, PS5 enhancement. Let's get into the technical aspect as far as the nerdy side of it. Offers 4K graphics or 60 FPS. Oh, let's get back to the demo. My fault. I was just showing y'all the card game. So let's get back to the demo, because that's what y'all want to see. I mean, look at Cloud next to Sephiroth. Like, he just looks like a beta male. Anyways, 4K graphics, 60 FPS, higher resolution assets than the original remake. Well, not the original. The remake that came out not too long ago. So Final Fantasy 7 remake, it's higher assets resolution wise than that. And a big open world map with numerous locations. Like I keep saying, this game is going to take you forever to beat, which could be a good or bad thing depending on how invested you are into the story, right? So now, currently, like I said at the beginning of the segment, a playable demo is available to PlayStation 5 players. I'm sorry, Xbox players. Y'all hey, my fault, right? PlayStation players, well, not even PlayStation players, PlayStation 5 players, current gen players, not retro gamers, but PlayStation 5 gamers, a playable demo is now available to you. Like I said, if you play the demo, it unlocks gear and lets you be able to skip the story, well, certain sections of the story in the full game. And then the demo and bonuses are exclusive to PlayStation 5. What else? That's basically it. I mean, it's not really too much to get into. Square Enix, they showed 11-minute demo showcasing not this demo. They had an original demo that showcased 11 minutes of regions, characters, abilities, combat, and party dynamics. Simply put, this game is going to be amazing because they're just showing you so much, letting you know that, hey, we got one on our hands. So they're letting you know that we got one, and they're not being any type of frugal when it comes to showcasing the game. What else? That's basically it. Apparently the story is different from the original Final Fantasy VII, so now it's like people don't know what to expect. But I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I don't even know anything about the story, so I can't really comment. All I know is that a certain character, there's like a thing that happens. It's like a how did the Across the Spider-Verse put it? It's a non-skippable event. It's a canon event, and they said that if they change that, then the fans might actually riot, and apparently it's pretty significant. I'm not gonna tell you what it has to do with, because man, this game been out for like 20 plus years. All right, so basically Aerith dies, right? So they are talking about if they change Aerith dying, a lot of the fans may have an issue with that, because apparently they brought back somebody in the Final Fantasy VII remake that wasn't in the story plot of the original Final Fantasy VII. So of course they're taking it some liberties, so it's not exactly a play-by-play of the original game story. But with Aerith dying, that I guess needs to happen, as it's a canon event. It won't make any of the future games make sense if she doesn't die. So yeah, I'm sorry I spoiled a 20-year-old game for y'all, but hey, teach his own, man. So that's basically it. Remember, playable demo available right now on PS5, and the actual full game comes out February 29th, 2024. So this year, of course. Click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think of Final Fantasy VII Remake? What was your favorite part of that? And also, will you be copying Final Fantasy VII Rebirth when it eventually releases February 29th, 2024? You know, one of the biggest things about CES is that gaming and technology really goes hand in hand. And that is why I kind of wanted to give just an overview of this showcase, because if you don't know, several gaming related products was announced at this showcase. And one of the biggest things, while I fight with my mic. Okay, yeah, I think that's good. All right, one of the biggest things that I've seen is that there's this thing called, and we're just gonna get right into it. It's the MSI claw, right? There's this thing called the MSI claw. And the reason why this is a big deal is because, let's see if I can let y'all see what this looks like. If you want to see it, if you want to see the video along with my audio, go to Analytic Dreams video on Spotify. And you should be able to see it right now. So it looks like this. And apparently this is supposed to be like the competitor to Switch. It's more of like a AMD handheld gaming device, if that makes sense. No. It's Intel hardware as opposed to AMD. And basically, as a competitor in the handheld space, because of his superior power capabilities and his what's the right word? Basically, its parts is more powerful than the competition. I mean, obviously, if you look at the Switch compared to this, the Switch is like basically a legacy console at this point. Like, I don't even understand what Nintendo is doing, as they had such a great idea with the Switch, but their hesitancy to upgrade the Switch in a way that's substantial led to this. So now that we have the claw, it's definitely a way more enhanced and more powerful version than the Switch. And it's just certain improvements that makes it to where Switch is going to have to expedite the process of putting out the Switch 2. And from what I've heard, what I've researched, it's basically subtle improvements of the Switch. And the Switch 2 to be a subtle improvement of the Switch is after all these years, because the gap between the Switch and the Switch 2 should make it to where the Switch 2 is night and day improvement. But for specs that have already went out to developers, you know, because if you don't know, gaming developers get test builds of these new consoles coming out simply so they can make their games compatible with it for when it comes out. Because if you make a console and nobody wants to put their games out on your console, well, then you end up like all of the other failing consoles in the past decade. But the biggest thing I see when it comes to the Claw is just that it has certain improvements and it's a Windows handheld, and basically it's like a polished Steam Deck. If you don't know what Steam Deck is, you're basically looking at it. It's something that you can play outside of your console, but not like on a TV or a monitor, if that makes sense. Like it's a handheld device to where you can bring to your bedroom if you want to play a game, or if you want to play the game while somebody else is watching TV or on your monitor. So that's really the biggest appeal I've seen for these handheld devices, and I think that's the reason why they are starting to put more competitive handheld devices out there, because obviously the Switch is not getting it done. So some of the other things when it comes to just gaming related products announced at CES, which if you don't know, CES, let's see, hold on 1 second. So it's the Consumer Electronics Show. Let me see if I can find this right quick. Yeah, Consumer Electronics Show. That's what it is. And it showcases new products and technology. And it basically gives you kind of a synopsis of all the new and improved technology that's coming to consumers in the near future. So that's the biggest thing you basically need to know about CES. And that is why I'm covering it, because as a gaming cover or reviewer, it's very important that you keep up with the latest technology advancements so you know what's coming down the pipeline. So one of the other things that was announced at CES was the Asus ROG. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Basically, it's a monitor, right? And this monitor is more of a competitor to the Alienware type products and gaming monitors out there. So for those who care about 4K, and I've just figured out that like a native 4K and then some other 4Ks are not the same 4K, which in my opinion, I'm like, why even put 4K? And then people be like, well, it's a branding type thing. And then my question is, how is that, like, who certifies what's 4K and what's not? And if you can put 4K on something, but it's not actually 4K, like it's be like native. If it's not native 4K, then it's not, I don't know. It's super confusing. I already need to know is that at this juncture, they basically promoted this 32-inch display, saying it's going to be one of the more competitive gaming monitors out there on the market, which is, I'm just going to spell it out because I'm probably butchering it, but it's the Asus, which is ASUS ROG. So the Asus ROG Swift OLED. It's super like, what is a PG32 UCDP? Like what is that? That's nerd. Hey, that's nerd talk. If you know that by heart, you a nerd, and it's okay with being a nerd. It's just I gotta let you know what you are. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, other things was announced like the Asus ZenBook. Asus really came out from what it seems like and really showcased a lot of products, which was getting the eyes and attention from a lot of gamers and just technologically advanced consumers in general. So a lot of people really don't care for the CES announcements and things of that nature, but I think it's very interesting in the fact that it kind of gives you just more knowledge in the marketplace and just showcasing things that's going to be the competitors and maybe the flagship type or the pioneers when it comes to certain advancements in their certain field. Because obviously they start off as concept. They start off as concepts, and even then they could be shown off as just test only models. But then it comes to the actual forefront, and then you realize that one of the more pioneer technologically advancements in the industry was shown off like 2 years ago at CES. So then it starts to make you pay attention more to the show in general, because you realize that these are really important showcases to show what people are working on. And so there's a lot of things you can see. Like if you're a gamer, all you need to know is that you'll probably see some of the best monitors. I mean, I think I saw a monitor in the middle of a wheel. Like it looked like a hamster wheel, but it was like human sized, and there was like a monitor in the middle of it. And apparently it was like a driving type simulator. So you could like drive, and it was, I don't know if it was PlayStation, was one of them. But basically you can hop into the wheel and it could simulate you driving. No, you would be playing a driving game, but it would have you in a setting to where it felt like you was actually in a car. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, let me see. It was something else that I wanted to get into. It wasn't too much I wanted to talk about with the show, because at the end of the day, it's CES. So these are a lot of things that's shown off as, it's like not out yet, but it's just showing you what's to come. So it's not really too much to get into. But the biggest thing I wanted to touch on was definitely the Claw, which is a handheld PC gaming device. And basically it's going to compete with the likes of a Switch, because even though it can't get Nintendo-like games on its platform, obviously there's ways to get around that. I'm not going to tell you how to, because that's illegal. But it's still a competitor in the field of handheld devices. And Switch, obviously, I think right now is dominating that field. So, let's see what else. That's basically it. Obviously, there's some VR stuff shown, but I still think we have ways to go before we get an actual VR or AR device that's actually usable in society without being trash. So with that being said, like I said, not too much to get into, just wanted to touch on that a little bit just to let y'all know that the gaming showcase did happen. And it was pretty good. It showed a lot of different things for people who are into that type of stuff. So wanted to cover that for y'all. So anyways, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about the CES 2024 showcase? And out of all the gaming related products, which one piqued your interest the most? Why somebody say Pokemon needs to have Pikachu picking up a stick now? I don't think y'all understand. I've seen so much news about PowerWorld, and to the point where this whole episode is based off of that specific video game that not only has taken the world by storm from an objective standpoint, no, from a subjective standpoint, but from a objective standpoint, we're getting into PowerWorld becoming the sixth game in the entire history of Steam platform, like of all time, to have 1+ million concurrent players in game at the same time. Now, of course, if you want the video along with the audio version to see me go further into that point, type in Analytic Dreams video on Spotify to see the video along with the audio. With that being said, look at this right here. Okay, so basically, PowerWorld had a peak of 1.5 million players. I mean, obviously, if you look at this right here, that's ridiculous, because the last 30 days, as you can see, it just was released on Steam, I think January 19th, and it's already broken these type of numbers, where you have Counter-Strike 2, 1.2 million concurrent player, 1.2 peak players. And as far as the all-time top records, as you can see right here, you have PUBG with 3.2. That PUBG was a time. PUBG was really it just showcases how big PUBG was before Fortnite took over. But that's besides the point. So 3.2 peak players was the all-time record back in January 2018 from PUBG Battlegrounds. Then you have 1.8 million peak players from Counter-Strike 2. And then what do you have at number 3? PowerWorld with 1.5 peak players in January 2024. So not only is broken like a decade-long drought of just putting up top-tier numbers, or not a decade-long drought, more of like, what was the most recent game to do that? Most recent game was Baldur's Gate 3 with 875,000 peak players in August of 2023, and that was the last time. Yeah, that was the latest a game broke those type of records. But now we have PowerWorld, and obviously it's in a league of its own, as it's in the top 3. Now, why am I saying that? Because I just want y'all to know that one of the things about PowerWorld being described as Pokemon with guns, which is just hilarious, because if you've seen the game, there's other things you can capture, and I don't want to be that guy, right? But, you know, as a black man in society, somebody has to say it, and it might as well be me. You know what I'm saying? So, during the game, I was watching it, you know, just having a joyful time watching my favorite content creator play PowerWorld, right? And I'm over here doing my homework because, you know, I like to listen to the streams while I'm doing homework, things of that nature. And all of a sudden, you know, he comes up to an NPC. You know, I play open world games all the time. So I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. You know, I got NPCs in the game as well to make it feel like there's other humans living. You know, it makes the world just seem more alive and immersive. You know what I mean? Because there's other people adding to the same environment that you're in, right? So then some random thing happens. I don't know. I guess he was talking or whatever, and they went bad on him. Like, he just started fighting them. And then towards the end of the fight, you know, I guess he was winning the fight. And don't you know, this man threw out a Pokemon ball. Well, I call it a Pokeball. Maybe a Palball. I don't know what you call it. What do they call the capture balls? I don't know, whatever. And captured a whole human. And not only that, captured a human, and then actively throughout the rest of his playthrough had that human come out when he wanted him to come out by throwing the ball. And then the human came out, did whatever task he needed him to do, and then put him right back into the ball and went about his day. Now, I don't know what y'all want to call that, but as a black man in America, that's, you know, that almost, hey, brought back some ancestry.com type vibes. Let me just say that, right? I mean, I was like, ain't no way. I just seen what I just saw in this video game, and nobody's pointing it out. Like, people talking about them copying Pokemon. I'm trying to figure out, when in the world did we go back to those days? Like, we went back to Red Dead Redemption type days with these type of mechanics implemented. Like, it's just really kind of off-putting how that mechanic is in the game and don't nobody care. It's like, it's weird. It's just weird. I'm sorry. I can never play a game like that. So anyways, that's my personal critiques on it. But anyways, let's get into some of the more objective stats of the game, right? They call it Pokemon with guns. Obviously, as you know, I just showed you, one of the top 3 ever, and top 3 ever peak players in 1.5. You know, 1.5, 1.8, and 3.2 is the top 3 records. PowerWorld has the third one at 1.5. So with them having record-breaking numbers just coming out January 19th, which is why you see right here when it says last 30 days, is really, you know, what, 1, 2, 3, 4? I don't know. It's one of them. So it's not really too long. Doesn't have too much of a runway as far as longevity on the Steam platform. But the way it came out the gate has everybody's eyes on it, to the point where now, you know, with fame and success, one of the things you would probably hear from anybody who's successful comes a lot of scrutiny. So people are coming at the developers, which, if you don't know, is the developers of this game is a Japanese company, Pocket Pair. And basically, a lot of people been coming after this game, accusing it of being a Pokemon ripoff due to similarities in creature designs. Now, I don't really think that's too fair, simply for the fact that a lot of their designs are significantly different, to the point where it's like, you don't notice how many Pokemons do I actually know? Off-brand Pikachu, or off-brand like Mewtwo, or off-brand. That's all I know. That's it. I swear that's all I know. It's been so long since I played Pokemon, but that in itself is why PowerWorld is going off, because it just renovated basically the model of capturing something. Usually it used to only be Pokemon. I guess we're doing humans too now. But anyways, capturing something and releasing it to help fight with you. It is more of a different model that PowerWorld has implemented. It's more of a Minecraft meets Pokemon in comparison to just a straight Pokemon ripoff. Hopefully that makes sense. So despite the character criticisms, I did pull up some receipts that some people had problems with. So if you want to see them, just go to Analytic Dreams video on Spotify to see the video along with the audio version. But basically, there's one user right here on X, aka Twitter, says that this specific case turned out that the PowerWorld had theirs in a promo video 2 years prior to when Pepe's created his independently. Pepe states this later in that tweet thread. However, they did steal I'm just gonna butcher these names. Ethereal Haze, Mega Defox fan design from a whole decade ago. So they're talking about fan designs getting stolen, which I just think is hate. Bae, I had to bring these receipts up to let y'all know and see what they're actually talking about. And then we have another person coming out the woodwork saying that Anubis and PowerWorld looks like a Lucario. Yes, who both look a lot like Anubis from SMT. I don't know what that means. Who all look alike. Who all look a lot like Anubis. Different takes on the same concept look similar. These are not an issue for me personally. I don't think they should be considered as one at all. So they're talking about Lucario, as you see right here from Pokemon, and then you see the one that they have in PowerWorld, which, I mean, technically you could try to say it's a ripoff, but when you do realize that these type of designs have been around for the not beginning of time, let me not go that far, but, you know, it's been around a long time, especially this design right here. So if you're going to say they ripped off Pokemon, then what was Pokemon ripping off of? Because obviously this looks a lot like this. But I don't know. So anyways, the third and final receipt I have for y'all today is somebody saying, basically giving props to PowerWorld, basically saying that if only Pokemon Legends Arceus looked like this, on top of what it already has, that game would have been peaker than peak. That's an interesting phrase. I wish Game Freak cooked and added seasoning. That's a unique, creative critique right there. Like he wished they added seasoning. Basically calling y'all bland. I mean, you know, somebody had to say it. So the biggest thing with PowerWorld and the Pokemon comparisons is that Pokemon is not PowerWorld in the sense of gameplay mechanics. Like the foundation of PowerWorld is more of is exploring a large map, which obviously is Pokemon, battling human foes, which I guess you could say is kind of like Pokemon if you're like battling the trainer. I don't know. And then capturing creatives known as pals, which definitely sounds like Pokemon. But then I think the thing that sets it apart from Pokemon is that it's an open world survival game. And in Pokemon, I don't think you ever had to have survival mechanics implemented into the game, like eating, drinking, things of that nature. So with PowerWorld, overall, I would say that it's very successful because, like I'm going to keep saying, I think it mixes Minecraft and Pokemon and merges it into what we have now, which is PowerWorld. So I could see this game having a lifespan of basically, I don't see the game dropping off anytime soon. Like I see it having a decade plus run. But I also thought the same with Temtem. If my OG Notorious Mass Effect followers, y'all definitely, that was before Notorious Mass Effect. That was just when Analytic Dreams, which is the name I was going with. So even, I think that was back in 2020, 2021. Yeah, Temtem had a game and it had obviously not similar success because you see they set records with, well, PowerWorld set records with their launch, but Temtem had a similar model to them being compared to being a Pokemon ripoff, but they was also successful. But technically, nobody's really playing Temtem right now. Like obviously, somebody out there who's playing Temtem, the 1 out of 50 people, they're gonna be like, "Hey, I'm playing that game. How dare you?" But for the rest of the world, they're not playing Temtem. So for PowerWorld to have this unexpected success, to have surpassed so many expectations, and more importantly, this is the most important fact, becoming one of the biggest gaming success stories ever. Like, ever. Like, one of the biggest gaming success stories ever in the history of gaming. I think that there's similarities to the way that Tim rose to fame being called a Pokemon ripoff, but Palworld sits as technically way more features and foundational gameplay mechanics that would set it apart from the likes of a Tim and a Pokemon. I think that this rapid rise to success with 5 million copies sold and 1.5 million concurrent players peaking on Steam, being one of the 6 games in history to achieve this, I think this is only the start, and this is going to be one of the biggest games in the next 5 to 10 years. Because I just don't see how Palworld's gameplay mechanics and gameplay loop, which is almost the same thing, and the cohesive multiplayer elements that's going to be implemented, the widespread appeal because of the online interest. It's just so many ways to attribute to Palworld's success that I don't think that the Pokemon ripoff is going to stick. I think it's going to fall by the wayside as people realize that this game has a lot that it offers that's unique to itself. I mean, I think at one point, not comparing Palworld to Fortnite, even though I technically should. I mean, I'm looking at it. I don't see Fortnite anywhere on these top records for peak players. And Fortnite was a game that changed the gaming landscape as far as the getting the general fan, that the casual gamer more into gaming, if that makes sense. So I would see this game actively becoming what we used to know Pokemon as. I know that's a huge claim, and people may get, Nintendo fans out there may be upset by that statement, but I do see how the changing of the guards could be apparent with this recent success by Palworld. Because I don't know about y'all, but if you don't advance with the times, you're usually going to get left behind. So Palworld obviously saw that people was getting tired of the old 2-color Pokemon format being the same game with like minor changes format. They got tired of that. They recognized people getting tired of that format to the point where they went in, revolutionized the whole survival elements along with Pokemon type elements into it. And now we have our own game that's seemingly going to be around for at least 5 to 10 years, in my personal opinion. I did not see it getting this big. I remember watching one of my favorite content creators playing the game and then realizing that it just looked like a game that he was just playing for fun. Pretty cool game. And I didn't think anything of it. Days passed, and then I realized, so I was like, as far as seeing it, I've seen it early, but as far as its rise to fame, I did not think it would get to this point. So that's why I decided to speak on it, because I've seen the progression, and now I just want to give my sentiments on where it's going to go in the future and where it's at now, because a lot of people will get distracted and misled by certain narratives out there, but I just want to give you the facts as far as statistically, as you can see right here, the top games currently, and then let you see some of the other things where, like, the way it debuted, which is what it shows right here. And I just think that these two, also on Steam, I don't even know if I brought this up, top sellers is still #1 ahead of the Steam Deck, which, is that crazy? This is a Steam Deck, like something that's, anyways. Yeah, so Palworld is just one of those games where I could see this being a new Pokemon. And I said that about Tim, and I was wrong. So I'm open to being wrong again. But at the end of the day, only time would tell, as Palworld and Tim from a foundational standpoint is very different mechanically, to the point where you can put a lot more hours into Palworld and find new things to do compared to a Tim where the gameplay loop is kind of already set out for you, if that makes sense. So anyways, I think that was basically it. I think I got into everything I wanted to get into. They said a mod is expected to okay. So basically there's a Pokemon mod out there. I think that's what I had up. I think I took that down. Hold up. That was the one I was talking about. I think I took it down. Anubis. Was this it? That wasn't it. Nah, I definitely took it away. Goodness. If only Pokemon. Let's see. Is this it? Nah, there was a whole like Pokemon mod for Temtem, but honestly, I think I lost it. So I was wanting to show y'all that because I think that's very interesting. But honestly, I don't even know if I want to show that because hey, Nintendo don't be playing. Nintendo will pull something down in a heartbeat. That's why I'm so surprised that this game even saw the light day. So I'm not even gonna play with Nintendo like that because you think there's a reason why all these Nintendo IPs are only on their console. They don't like to share nothing. Like they're gonna be like, oh, you using our content? You gotta come down. You know what I mean? So that's why you usually don't see too many creators getting like early copies of Nintendo properties because they don't really mess with us like that. I ain't gonna lie to you. So anyways, that's basically all I have to say. So there is going to be a Pokemon type mod for PowerWorld, but not only do I think I don't need it, not only do I think they don't need it, but I think they're just going to be very successful with the model that they've already implemented. And despite the controversy, and also there's controversy about AI use in the game as far as generative AI tools in the game and creating the game's creatures. But hey, until they're able to prove it, they're just going to be talking, what they say, talking into cloud, into the space. Like nobody's going to listen because if Nintendo had a case to sue PowerWorld, they would have been did it. So anyways, yeah, I think that's basically I'm trying to find. Oh, okay. One last thing. So PowerWorld, this is going to sound like I'm a PR person, but I swear I'm not. PowerWorld is currently available on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series S in early access form. Dang, it's not on PlayStation? Dang, PlayStation ain't got no games. See, I used to say Xbox ain't had no games, and now, full circle moment, PlayStation don't even have one of the biggest games of the year. Anyways, PowerWorld is priced at $26 on Steam, discounted for early access, increasing to $29. Man, a whole whopping $29. Man, that's breaking the bank, ain't it? Let me chill before they put it back up to 70. On January 25th, so that's for Steam players that you could buy it now for $26 discounted for early access, or you could buy it for $29 when on January 25th. Xbox players can purchase it for $29. What's up with that? Why is it only like half the price of a regular game? I mean, obviously it's early access, but I mean, that'll stop other games from taking your money in early access. I mean, I felt like that was the usual, like early access and then take your money and then act like you're going to put the game out later. And then surprise and be like, hey, surprise, this is the final version. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see what they do. But anyways, Xbox players can purchase it for $29 in the Xbox store with a 60-minute trial option. And then the game is also available on Xbox Game Pass for console and Windows PC. So yeah, for my PlayStation players out there, hey, I guess you just got to watch one of the more popular games in recent history on somebody else's playthrough. Or just get a PC or an Xbox. I mean, technically, I got, not to flex, but, I got a little PC myself, so I may have to boot it up. No, I'm just playing. I ain't got no interest in PC games right now. So, anyways, that's basically it. I think that's all I wanted to. I want to make sure I cover everything because PowerWorld is pretty significant and it's pretty humongous. And also, there's over 130 pals, which is the little Pokemon type name they have for that game. And just so you don't think it's like, oh, it's early access, so they must not have a lot. Like they have a lot to work with. And it's also about battling, crafting, and building a base. So it's a lot of. Oh yeah, that's basically it. All right. So, anyways, biggest thing you need to take away from this is that PowerWorld is not going anywhere anytime soon, and that Pokemon fans out there may just have to get used to the new normal because it seems like PowerWorld is taking over, and I don't know if they're gonna release their grip on this type of gameplay loop anytime soon. So with that being said, Pikachu may need to pick up a stick. But anyways, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about PowerWorld taking over the landscape as far as being the new normal as a Pokemon fanatic goes? And also, more importantly, what do y'all actually think about PowerWorld? Do you think it copied Pokemon? Ladies and gentlemen, we finally have action. Now, this all started simply for the fact that PowerWorld was successful in a way that brought a lot of attention to it being a Pokemon ripoff. So much attention that not even Tim was able to accumulate. Because if you don't know, like you can see right here, shameless plug to Analytic Dreams video on Spotify to see the video along with the audio. PowerWorld has sold over 8 million copies in less than 6 days. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, PowerWorld has sold over 8 million copies in less than 6 days. To put this in perspective, I brought up the charts from Steam, right? The all-time peak record of players on Steam. See, make sure y'all can see this right quick. 3.2 million by PUBG Battlegrounds back in January 2018. So to put in perspective how big PowerWorld is currently, as far as astronomical historic numbers, PowerWorld has set the record for the second most concurrent peak players on Steam. So peak players is basically the highest amount of players currently playing that game. And PowerWorld set the second highest record with 2 million. So it also shows you how big PUBG was when it originally came out. But, you know, all the credit went to Fortnite because technically it did steal its thunder. But talking about trying to steal someone's thunder, Nintendo had enough. They saw all of these people coming out making articles talking about how PowerWorld is just completely ripping off Pokemon and just being very ignorant in the sense, well, I'm talking about the people who made the articles, being very ignorant in the sense that if Nintendo had a lawsuit with some credibility, they would have been trying to take PowerWorld down. Do you know how much money PowerWorld has made in the past 6 days? If they could send a cease and desist and could find any type of credibility, I promise you they would have already. As PowerWorld has basically, I'm trying to find an actual source with the amount of money that they've made, because this is ridiculous. Somebody says Phil Spencer is already trying to acquire the developers of PowerWorld. So they said PowerWorld costs and this is by Insider Gaming, right? PowerWorld cost 1 billion yen to make, and the CEO didn't want to budget money. So basically, after all that, okay, here we go. PowerWorld came out and said that they've sold over 5 million in 3 days. That was back in January 22nd. So you can kind of see the concurrent player just rising again and again to the point where now they're the second most all time. I don't think I'll be able to find the money, how much money they've made in the past. Oh, I found it from Jeff Keighley himself, just in the nick of time, wasn't it? Okay, so basically PowerWorld, let me bring this over so I can see it, has sold over 7 million copies in 5 days on Steam alone. And then this is Jeff Keighley, out of all people, like the head owner of the Game Awards, like the biggest award show for gaming, right? He came out, said, quote, PowerWorld has sold 7 million copies in 5 days on Steam alone. Remember, this is back in January 24th, so the numbers are a little off. And then he confirmed with Pocket Pair that this is only on Steam. So, well, PlayStation they don't even have the game. I don't believe. Yeah, they don't even have the game. Xbox and PC players are the only ones that have this game currently. So anyways, Pocket Pair said that these are these are only Steam numbers, not including Xbox sales or Game Pass. So solely, even though it's on PC and Xbox, because they cut a deal to have it on the Game Pass, these numbers are specifically for PC. The amount of players and how it translated to dollars is approximately $189 million that PowerWorld has made in the past 5 days. So you can see why I'm saying if Nintendo had any type of foundation to stand on as far as suing PowerWorld, they would have done it already, because that is just insanely, it's just egregious amount of money that PowerWorld is making right now. Like, astronomical numbers PowerWorld is putting up right now. Never seen before numbers. I mean, other than 2018 with PUBG, numbers on Steam right now is very much a moment in time for gaming. And I try not to be dramatic, but objectively, it's literally something we've never seen before, only once back in 2018. So just trying to put that in perspective for y'all. Also, PowerWorld is currently launching a sale on Steam. Now I sound like the PR person, but what I'm about to get into, I don't want anybody who plays PowerWorld to think I'm hating on the game, because I'm about to bring up some points, but I want to be fair. So they are currently launching a sale on Steam, and obviously they put their most played game in the world, things of that nature, available on Steam, 10% off for people who want to buy it on Steam. So let me see. It launches until January 25th, 10, I think, p.m. PST. It doesn't say 10 a.m. or p.m., so I don't know if it's a.m. or p.m. But PST should probably tell you a.m. or p.m., and I'm probably just ignorant. So anyway, with that being said, let's keep going and further my point as to why I think Nintendo would have been sued them if they had the ledge to stand, or if they was able to be on that ledge to actually have some credibility, because they came out with a statement out of the blue, basically seeing all the random people make articles saying that PowerWorld is just a Pokemon ripoff. And if you don't think that Nintendo, I mean, literally Nintendo is not to be played with. I think I forgot to say that. Nintendo is not to be played with. I mean, literally, they are the creators of Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. They have generated billions of dollars. They have been around for decades, long history of just innovating in the gaming industry. Forget just the regular video games, just the gaming industry as a whole. Nintendo has consistently put out things that's changed the culture drastically. Like Game Boy, Nintendo Switch. Like, I don't have to talk about how big Nintendo is, right? So, anyways, getting back into them, their status in this industry should let you know that them not being able to find any way to actually sue PowerWorld should tell you something about how little validity a lawsuit would have, because there's really no solid foundation for them to stand on. I mean, there's been no proof. So why do I say that? Is because Nintendo put out a statement, and of course it was either Chinese or Japanese. I forget, because I just found out that those two are different languages. Like, apparently they use the same character symbols, but it's tonality that makes them different. I had no idea. Call me ignorant, but hey, I guess you learn something new every day. So anyways, Chinese, technically, is what I'm going to call it for this. And then getting into English translation, Nintendo came out and said inquiries regarding other companies' games. Okay, now you've seen the original. I'm just going to go to the English only version. All right, so make sure I can read that. Okay, we have received many inquiries regarding another company. I'm going to be so immature throughout this whole reading, because this just screams we can't get them on anything, but we see y'all trying to help us out. Yeah, like, y'all keep trying to help us out because we trying to build this. It's like they trying to build a Rico for PowerWorld. For all my hip hop fans, y'all know, yes, unfortunately, y'all know what that means. Nintendo is trying to go crazy with the Rico on PowerWorld. Like, they trying to build their case to the point where it's just is concrete evidence that they've built. At the end of the day, that's what they're trying to build. They're trying to build up evidence to the point where it's concrete to get them taken away, locked up, I don't know, something. They're trying to find anything. So basically they came out and said, quote, "We have received many inquiries regarding another company's game released in January 2024. They're not even saying the name. Are they saying the name? Anyways, we got to finish this. "We have not granted any permission for the use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to the Pokemon. We will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon in its world and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future." End quote. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how in the world do they manage to throw shade without even naming the developers or the actual game that's currently outperforming them on every litmus scale in 2024? I have no idea. Like, to put out a statement for the Pokemon from the Pokemon company and not even address the name once is insane to me. Like, y'all know who we talking about, but we ain't finna name them, call them out by name, because that's giving them even more publicity, even though they done broke records for the most popular game ever as far as peak players. So with that being said, obviously, PowerWorld is a new game being compared to Pokemon. Basically, people are calling it Pokemon with guns. So for the Pokemon company to come out and talk about this and not even name it, like, good and dang well who they talking about and who they referring to, but it's just the comedic element of not even saying their name is just too much for me. I just lost it. I was like, bro, ain't no way y'all actually acting like y'all can't say their name. It's like what's his name? Voldemort? Voldemort? I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so y'all probably gonna kill me for that. But anyways, PowerWorld and Pokemon, of course, had different gameplay styles as far as the foundational aspect, because simply objective take is PowerWorld is open world. Its main mechanic and intrigue is open world. But Pokemon main intrigue is turn-based strategy. If you want to argue with that, then you're just not being factual. So anyways, the comparisons arise with Pokemon and PowerWorld simply due to the creature designs. I mean, I literally had, I did my due diligence because I do take this job seriously. You know what I'm saying? Pokemon and PALs have been compared, a plethora of them, which if you look at it, I mean, y'all have to tell me what y'all rank this as far as similarity from a 1 to 10. And once again, Analytic Dreams video on Spotify to get the video along with the audio. But anyways, let's look at this right here. So this is our first comparison. Who is that? Our favorite, well, one of my favorite Pokemon anyways, and Lucario. And apparently the one to the right is Anubis. And now, obviously you could say, well, that's not similar at all. But some people will say that's completely ripping off Pokemon. All right, let's go into another one. So these two Pokemon, obviously, well, not two Pokemon. I've already said it. The one on the right is a Pokemon. The one on the left is a PAL, of course. And I don't know these names. So, of course, I don't know all the names for Pokemon or PALs. But all I know is that this is an actual comparison that's been floating around the web. Now, another one is this one right here. Now, I believe that this one is called Gardevoir. I think that's what I think it's she, he. I don't know Pokemon. I don't know the genders. I ain't trying to get canceled. I just don't know. So anyways, this is another comparison that people are bringing up as far as ripping off Pokemon. And yeah. So the other creature comparison is the one right here. As you can see, the one on the left is from PowerWorld. The one on the right is from Pokemon. Then we have another comparison. Like, these comparisons goes for days. And actually, this is the one I had a problem with. I was like, nah, if they have any type of case, is this one right here. Like, if there was any way for them to get PowerWorld, is through this character right here. Because you can't tell me this ain't a straight ripoff from, I think it's called Boatman. I think it's Boatman from PowerWorld. But of course, the Pokemon is called Luxray, I believe. It's just one of the more notable Pokemon in the game. But as you can see, this is a blatant ripoff to me. This was the most egregious I've seen. But then it doesn't stop there, right? This is the one. Okay, so this is like, this is Luxray in like the Pokemon show, and then this is Boatman in the PowerWorld universe. Basically, I looked up more stuff for that because that was the most egregious to me. All the other ones was like, it's similar, but I don't know. This one is like, come on now, let's be serious. Let's be serious. So anyways, that's why this came about anyways, because Pokemon's like, hey, don't believe we ain't trying to get these dudes. Like, they might as well say they the ops and we trying to get them. That's basically what this whole statement from the Pokemon company is telling me, because they saw this and it was like, nah, bro, you got to come off of that bread. Like, there's no way you finna renovate using designs from our game, allegedly, and make this amount of money from it. Like I said with the Jeff Keighley tweet, like, they made over almost $200 million in 5 days. Somebody is coming for that money, and somebody is going to try to find some type of law to get that money back as far as a cease and desist. And who is that going to come from? I would say it's going to come from Nintendo. Now, I'm not saying PowerWorld is copying Pokemon at all. I'm just bringing up points to be devil's advocate, of course. So that's basically it. Some of the other things is that, of course, Pokemon, the only reason I'm covering this is because the Pokemon company, which is, not Nintendo, but, subsidiary of Nintendo, came out and actually put out a statement, like an official statement from the Pokemon company. That's the only reason I'm covering this, because at first it was just hearsay. He said, she said, people making up fake designs and stuff and trying to get PowerWorld in trouble, or only to find out it was fake in the first place. Like, the only reason I'm covering this is because it's from the official Pokemon company, and they stated this, basically confirming that they are literally investigating into potential copyright infringement on PowerWorld. But the way they worded it is they didn't name PowerWorld, but you know exactly who they're talking about. And I love this because it just brings me back to my hip hop roots, because this is the premise of hip hop: to combat in strategic ways that even though you're dissing somebody, you just don't blatantly say their name. Like, Drake does it all the time to Jay-Z. Jay-Z does it all the time to everybody. I would say Kendrick does it, but he doesn't. He just blatantly says their name. It's just so many times where disses in hip hop. Oh, Nicki just did it to Megan Thee Stallion. I'm probably losing my gaming audience at this point. Let's just say hip hop artists do it so much that when I see it in the gaming space, I'm like, finally, somebody is out here throwing subliminal disses the correct way. Because the incorrect way is to say PowerWorld is definitely stealing and we gonna find it. Well, now PowerWorld can sue you, because if you ain't found nothing, then why you defaming us? Which technically some people in the community who's modding for Pokemon into PowerWorld, you're probably gonna get a lot of lawsuits coming your way, because Nintendo does not play. Let me tell you one more time, Nintendo, like, I think one of the biggest things you should probably notice is the amount of early access keys that get sent out to certain content creators, simply for the fact that Nintendo runs a tight ship and other companies are more inclined to bring you in behind the scenes to let you see how it's ran. But Nintendo does not do that at all. So for something like this to come out, which I'm not going to say insinuates that there was a behind the scene work before this game came about, but Netflix, I didn't say Netflix. Nintendo is going to use everything in its disposal, and best believe it's a lot. Like, as far as weaponry and its arsenal, I think Nintendo is like John Wick compared to a lot of these other companies. So they're going to come with the utmost preparation against PowerWorld. And so, in conclusion, I mean, PowerWorld's success, obviously, is just immense, astronomical. out of this world, not really be compared to anybody except for the 2018 PUBG run when it hit like 3.2 million. I think I still have the stats up here. Yeah, you can see right here. That's not the all-time, but obviously PowerWorld is #1 right now. But all-time, you can see right here. January 2018 was the last time we've seen something like this as far as 3.2 million. I mean, obviously Counter-Strike 2 back in 2023, Lost Ark back in 2022, but 2 million, I mean, speaks for itself that it's generational type numbers that's being put up these past 2 to 3 years, which would lead you to believe that we're in a golden age of gaming, because a lot of these records being set has happened in the past 3 years, but never like this into the 2 million mark. That hasn't happened. Even, I mean, obviously it was 3 million, but even the 2 million mark hasn't happened since all the way back in 2018 with PUBG and 3.2 million peak players. So obviously I'm gonna go back up to the top games right here. So anyways, yeah, man. Good luck to Pokemon. Well, not even good luck. I don't care if y'all find them infringing or like, I honestly don't care, because y'all are supremely powerful and should have been made a game like this as far as using your IP. And the fact that you stay stagnant, putting out 2 shades of colors and thinking people are going to be satisfied with it leads to games like PowerWorld just continuing to thrive in popularity because it set a certain spin on your creation, and now the world is blowing it up to the high heavens. So, you know, setting records in sales and player engagement is I think directly correlated to the innovative take on building your own world with Pokemon. Well, technically pals. So anyways, click my link tree in my bio and let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about PowerWorld versus Pokemon? And do you think that at the end of the day, Pokemon will be able to have a lawsuit put against PowerWorld? And do you think they could come out victorious in their lawsuit?
It's a pleasure to be here in Liberty City. Ow!
Sticking with the trend of playing Cat Williams' comedy bits during the unexpected appearance in GTA 4 for episode 134, we have to get into just the brilliance of Cat Williams throughout this entire episode. So throughout random segments throughout this episode, I'm going to be having just different comedy bits from the one and only Cat Williams.
Crazy Liberty City. Anything goes. Everything's crazy. Weed is illegal. Ain't that a motherfucker? They should have put that in the motherfucking brochure. Feel free to come to Liberty City, but weed is illegal. Kind of cockamamie shit is this? Weed is illegal. How the fuck can you make a plant illegal? Weed is just a plant. It's just a plant. It just grows like that. And if you should happen to set it on fire, there are some effects. That's not the same as drugs. Drugs, you gotta do shit to it chemically. You gotta add baking soda, water, stir it up. I don't know the recipe. I'm just saying there's some shit you gotta do to it. It's ridiculous. Weed ain't never hurt nobody. Aspirin is perfectly legal, but if you take 13 of them motherfuckers, it'll be your last headache.
All right, we're going to stop it right there. So anyways, I think that Cat Williams being in GTA 4 is the most random fun fact that I've learned in the past 7 days. So with that being said, of course, let's get into the topic at hand, which is a lot of business talk when it comes to just the gaming space in general, but more specifically, PlayStation executive Sean Layden believes that the trend of big open world games is leading to unsustainable budgets in the gaming industry. Now, before I go any further into details, because he said a lot, but I would like to let y'all know that technically, if the gaming studios, unlike the movie studios, I would argue and debate that gamers have more backlog than any form of entertainment in the history of mankind. Maybe you can make an argument for music, but as far as video games and the amount of hours you can spend on a video game, I think that if gaming companies try to make certain games more expensive just because of the length and the runtime, well, same thing, we could easily boycott and just play the games in our backlog. Like, I would be more than happy to go back to a remastered version of Super Mario 64, right? So with that being said, obviously Layden has suggested that industry needs to reevaluate game development, which honestly, I think that's been a reoccurring theme throughout the past 2 to 3 years. I don't know if it's the pandemic that brought it up more, but now people are just starting to try to put a label on these long video games and call them live services, to the point where even if you charge $70 in the base game, they still try to hit you with a roadmap to make you pay extra for content that should have already been in the game. So with the advances in technology, things are getting more expensive to make video games. Whether you have a coder, whether you have game testers, the developers, of course, what else? The actors, the voice actors, it's just so much stuff that goes into building a sustainable budget for a video game. So that is why I think it's interesting that one of the biggest at doing it is coming out and saying that basically the reevaluation needs to happen, and because of the increase in game development and marketing budgets, they need to be matched with an accurate price or a fair price. The thing I say to that is, on one hand, the consumer friendly me wants to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, obviously, games could be expensive or whatnot, but don't raise the price or we could easily boycott. Then on the other hand, devil advocate, I completely understand what this man is coming from, because if you look at the gaming space from the beginning of time to now, and then you look at the price from the beginning of time to now, one could argue that game devs and companies have had the most backwards and barbaric approach to pricing their product. And who is to blame for that? I mean, they say the development costs for AAA games range from $80 million to $150 million. And basically, this is historic. It's not even close to what they used to be in the past. Basically, this is at a point where they're reaching new heights when it comes to AAA game development. So since development cost is what it is, I think they need to try to make it back some type of way, right? So the devil advocate take would be that obviously it makes sense to increase the price because the product is obviously increasing. Gaming industry is the only space where you can increase the product and then the price stays the same for over half a decade to a decade now. And I mean, they literally just raised the original game price from $60 to $70. And I think back in the day when Game Exchange, I think that's the right story. Game Exchange, GameStop, things of that nature. I think even Blockbuster, well, that's when you rented games. So yeah, like Game Exchange, GameStop, those are the only places to where the price in games fluctuated based on the popularity. I don't know when it started, and I was just listening to somebody cover the industry for a while. He was going over this point. So it's not my own, but this is how he framed it. He basically said it was a certain game that happened to where all games started to be priced at $60, but it didn't used to be that way. It used to be whatever the developers thought was a fair price for the product they was putting out. So I blame the gaming industry. I blame the game devs, and I attribute to the W to gamers. I mean, it's okay to just say that, hey, maybe the consumer won and we just need to reevaluate, which is basically what Sean Layden is saying. He's saying that these development costs for games are getting exponentially larger, and we got to see some type of return on our investment. And basically also, which is very interesting being it's a PlayStation executive, suggested that game developers focus on shorter games with tighter, more compelling content to control cost and maintain retail prices. What does that scream to me? They trying to cut back on the content. I mean, if Spider-Man 2 wasn't a inclination, a picture perfect layout of what PlayStation is trying to do, then I don't know what is. They literally, and I have no way to scientifically prove this. I don't know this as a fact, but I believe that Insomniac was told by the higher ups that whatever the runtime is and the full game price has to correlate, right? We can't have 50 hours of playtime with a $70 price tag. Basically, we got to cap it at some point, which is why I think Spider-Man 2 ended up being literally around the same runtime as Spider-Man PS4. So I don't think it's a coincidence that the executive of PlayStation literally came out to say that other developers should focus on shorter games with more compelling content to control costs and maintain retail prices. And this reminds me of when Rockstar's, I don't know if it was CEO, it was somebody during the earnings call said that he would suggest certain, he didn't suggest a pay per hour, but basically he looked at other industries, because if you look at it from a entertainment standpoint, streaming services are subscription based and you get a lot of content from that. ESPN, well, any type of sports platform is subscription based, things of that nature. That's basically where he was coming from. I don't know where the pay for per hour came from, but basically he was talking about a subscription model. And who's implementing a model that I think is gonna be here for the long run? Xbox with the Game Pass, which is a subscription model. So I think when you get into how the future of gaming is going to look, I don't even see us having an actual console in the next 5 to 10 years. I think it's going to be a cloud service where we download games, so similar to Steam. You download games, you download it, you play it, and then it just, it just stays in your backlog. But as far as physical consoles, I think it's going to be a thing of the past, simply for the fact that I think the subscription model is the way to go for gaming. I mean, if they are going to keep complaining about budgets being way more than a return on investment, then they're going to try to find some way to counteract that, which is a subscription model, I think. So Xbox is obviously ahead of the game with that. So it's super ironic and I think cause and effect that the former PlayStation executive is coming out to say this. Usually if it was just some random gaming insider, I wouldn't cover it. But him being the former executive of PlayStation probably means that he knows a little bit that the average consumer or even the average developer does not know. So for him to come out and say that we need to stop giving consumers all this content and cut back, which is basically what he means by saying that the trend of open world games is leading to unsustainable budgets. That's like in turn saying like cut back on the content because we're giving them way too much for the baseline price point. So at the end of the day, I think that this is going to be a reoccurring theme of game devs and especially executives coming out and trying to, I don't even think game devs, because then they'll put a bad light if the product is bad, like video game. But as far as like company executives like a PlayStation, an Xbox, a Nintendo, I think we're going to see more executives speak up. And then I think we're going to see some obvious ripoffs of the Game Pass. I mean, PlayStation's already trying to do it, but for some reason it's not as popular. But hey, I don't know why, but for some reason it's not as popular. So in the long run, in short, in my solution to what Sean Layden is saying, I just think if he's so focused on runtime compared to price point, they should just do a subscription model. And that's probably the most like anti-consumer take I'm going to give, because if you're not playing games, let's say 1 month, but then you're paying the subscription, then that means you're basically paying for nothing. But if you play a game, technically it was a $70 price point, so obviously it should correlate or be equivalent to like 7 months of price point, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's all I have. So the biggest thing you need to know is that PlayStation is serious about cutting back on the content and not really trying to give you more than what you're actually quote unquote paying for. So anyways, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about PlayStation executive Sean Layden coming out saying that these open world games need to end because they're leading to unsustainable budgets in the gaming industry? And what do you think is the ultimate solution to development costs for AAA games, historic rise in yeah, that's basically it. What do you think about the development costs for AAA games, historic rise, and breaking all type of records for development budgets? One of the biggest things about covering the video game industry is just watching them discover, and not even discover, but just recognize a game that was once not really anticipated become anticipated simply based off the quality. And that's basically what happened with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is just getting just a lot of praise right now, critically acclaimed, and so much praise when it comes to quality wise. But you know, statistically, it's very troubling. Well, not even troubling. It's very hurtful and dismissive because of the success of PowerWorld. Now, is that PowerWorld's fault? Of course not. But of course, when you make a great product, you will like it to have its deserved and earned flowers. And for the developers of this game, Ubisoft Montpellier, I think I'm saying it right, known for the Rayman series and other titles like Beyond Good and Evil and Zombie U, I believe that since they made a phenomenal game in Prince of Persia, they would like to have their flowers. But of course, with PowerWorld basically being is literally the most popular game of all time if we're talking about a short span, because it broke the peak record for amount of players playing with 1.8. I know previously when I covered it in this episode, which may break the illusion, but sometimes episodes take me days to record. So anyways, so with the update in the day, which means it's the next day, anyways, y'all get what I'm saying. 1.8 is now the record for the most amount of peak players for a video game. And who achieved that? PowerWorld. And who falls to the wayside because of it? Prince of Persia. But fear not, as I am here to give you the utmost details about this game. And by utmost, I mean we're going to cover the surface, because I ain't played this game at all. But I've watched it, and I think in general, when you get into this game, as you can see right here, Analytic Dreams video on Spotify for the video along with the audio version, is a interesting game in the sense that it's a 2D platformer with a focus on melee combat. And why is it interesting? Because obviously you see right here some of the throwbacks of Prince of Persia with the Sands of Time, if you don't know, also developed by Ubisoft. But with this upgrade, and I'm not going to say remaster because I think that would be disrespectful. This game really just from a foundational standpoint improves on a lot, right? It was released January 18th, 2024 with early access available on certain platforms January 15th, and is available on PC, PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Amazon Luna. When do they start getting games? What is that? I ain't gonna lie, I cover games. I haven't heard Amazon Luna in a while. Like, what is that? Anyways, Nintendo Switch, solo play early access on PC and Xbox, and it's lower requirements for PC players simply for the fact that it's a 2D game. I mean, so that should go without saying. But anyways, some of the biggest things about this game, and that's making people gravitate towards it if they're not one of the 1.8 million people playing PowerWorld, is the time powers, which basically is after. Is that a spoiler? I don't know if that's a spoiler. Anyways, we're gonna go past that because I don't know if it's a spoiler or not. Early access outfits are available through the deluxe edition in Ubisoft Plus, offering a unique outfit called the Immortal, along with Prosperity Bird Amulet. And then the premise, because y'all probably wondering, what is this game about? I don't even think I've gotten to the main story of this game. So basically, Prince of Persia is set around Sargon, which is the protagonist, aim to save the abducted prince and restore peace in the land of Simurg. I don't even know how to say that. In the Mount of Quaff? Bro, I swear that's cool. Bro, QAF. What is that? That has to be like the most ignorant take on a word I've ever seen, because I don't know it. Like excuse my ignorance, but that just seems like anyways, that don't make sense. Anyways, whatever that region is, right? So that's the main thing. You're going to save a prince. This is why it's called, Prince of Persia. So it's like some Mario type beat, other than, instead of I think the prince is always a male. So yeah, instead of a woman, it's a male. You know what I mean? But what else will I get into? So yeah, that was basically it. Ubisoft Montpellier is working on Beyond Good and Evil 2, and yeah, that is it for the future projects. And the reason I don't have too much to say about Prince of Persia is literally because I just wanted to cover the game. I didn't have too much to say about it myself, but I did see that PowerWorld basically, I'm not going to say it's definitely not intentionally, but because it's literally the most successful game on Steam in a short span of time, like out of all the games ever released in history, PowerWorld is the biggest by far, with 1.8 peak concurrent players on Steam. So that inevitably is going to step on Prince of Persia's success. So that's why I wanted to shine the light not only on the game by showing some gameplay, but also just giving you some tidbits of what the story is going to entail, who developed it, and other tidbits like the whole available outfit through the deluxe edition. So, do of that what you will. But, for me, at the end of the day, I'm still playing Cyberpunk, so I won't be getting to this game anytime soon. And I looked at I guess that would be nice to get into what I'm looking forward to as far as gaming. I'm thinking about playing the Suicide Squad game, which I think that's the next topic. But anyways, but after that, I don't know. I mean, I would like to play Wolverine, but with that whole thing going on at Insomniac, there's no telling when that game's gonna come out. So at the end of the day, Prince of Persia is there if you would like to play it. And for me, I just think it's another telltale sign that if you make quality, people will come. Well, that's not the right saying. If you build it, people will come. And with Prince of Persia, Ubisoft Montpellier, I don't know how to say it, definitely created a nice quality game in Prince of Persia. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Prince of Persia? Switching gears and getting into a MOBA, which is Smite. And not only Smite, but the sequel into the decade-old Smite, which is a colorful third-person 5v5 MOBA featuring over 100 mythological gods. Now, of course, when people hear a sequel for such an iconic legacy game like this, people are hesitant and taken aback because, not gonna lie, Overwatch 2 really did a number on sequels for such iconic titles. Now, one could argue that Smite is by far and away more iconic than Overwatch, and you would be correct. But sticking with that same premise, this is not going to be a sequel. It's more, I mean, obviously it's Smite 2, but in the sense of a sequel, it's not really that. It's going to be more of a remake and a strictly better version of Smite. So I swear I'm not their PR team. This is basically what I've read, what I've heard, what I've seen. The overall goal is to make it more of like a I'm gonna call it a remaster. They don't want to say remake or whatever, but they're not gonna call it a sequel because it seems like they're keeping more of the foundational gameplay mechanics and gameplay loop. But with this game being developed by Titan Forge Games and them making Smite 2, I think we can obviously summarize that this is going to be a lot of overall improvements, whether it's graphics, whether it's character models, animations, things of that nature, which is what they also promise. So one of the new mechanics, of course, with it being Smite 2, is the auto build feature. And basically the way that it simplifies item purchase and upgrades. No. There's new mechanics including the auto build feature, simplifying item purchase and upgrades, and the learning curve being easier for new players. Now, what does that mean? Because I've never played Smite. So when I look at a MOBA, I think of it more as a very, very sweaty game as far as getting into competitive nature, if that makes sense. There's just certain terms used in MOBA that obviously you've heard in other games. Like in fighting games, you've heard somebody be like, oh, he's about to ult me, or he has his ult, stuff like that. But in MOBAs, like the whole, I think there's like a middle, left, and right lane. I know all MOBAs not the same, but from what I've seen, I forget, there was this one MOBA I used to watch. I'm completely blanking on the name right now, but it was basically a lot of just coordinating with a group to the point where it's like, this is not for me. I'm more of a solo player. That's why I like open world RPGs. But as far as MOBAs, that's a complete opposite of that, because I believe it's like multiplayer, online battle arena. I think that's what it is. I don't know. Anyways, so with that being said, the transition from Smite to Smite 2 is basically to improve everything about the game. So it's not to make just a intense sudden shift for players who've been used to Smite's gameplay loop. Smite 2 is just simply to upgrade on everything made in Smite, which you could obviously call a sequel, but the words of the words that they use is basically, it's not a sequel. It's more of a improvement of everything. I know, hey, do what you want, because after Overwatch 2, do we really believe these game developers when they say they're about to improve on something that's literally iconic? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But also, speaking on visuals, the Unreal Engine 5 is bringing visual upgrades and development efficiency to Smite 2, and enabling faster prototyping and more control for designers. And also with the monetization involving compensation for Smite 1 players with legacy gems and free skins in Smite 2, acknowledging, of course, all the time that they put into the game and obviously the community. So Smite 2 also plans to keep all of the 129 gods from Smite 1, and there's 5 new ones with adjustments to individual gods' abilities based on player feedback. So in general, they've changed so much that they just decided to slap a 2 on it and not call it a sequel. Make that make sense, but hey, that's the world we live in. So for Smite 2 being scheduled for spring 2024, I think we could obviously anticipate it coming out very soon. And with the trying to find their name again. And with Titan Forge, obviously they are basically trying to stay true to the Smite MOBA and just solidify the whole gameplay loop that they basically made with the original game. And they do not want to make any drastic changes that will make original Smite players unhappy. So they go off a lot of feedback. Basically, kind of just told you in the segment some of the things that they're going to implement and upgrade. And with them staying just faithful to the core of the Smite experience, I think that it's more of a quality of life improvement. So I don't know why they'll slap a 2 on it and act like it's a new game. But hey, here we are. So I don't know if they charge, because I've never played Smite, so I don't know if they charge. I don't know what the price point is, but basically, the overall goal of Smite 2 is to emphasize the importance of preserving what makes Smite great, such as enjoyable content, team fighting moments, and depth of a MOBA. So at the end of the day, you know, obviously you could tell I'm not the biggest MOBA player in the world, but I would definitely not be doing my job if it wasn't to cover one of the biggest MOBAs to ever be created in this gaming industry. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Smite 2 coming out this spring in 2024, of course? And also, do you think that Smite was ready for a sequel, or did you want to just keep having them improve the original base game? You know, it's a privilege to have a job, and at a particular juncture, you're going to find yourself having to either switch jobs, or unfortunately, you may find yourself being laid off. And that's exactly what a lot of workers at Twitch is currently undergoing, as there's been a significant workforce reduction. I'm talking about 35% of its employees, approximately 500 workers, is now laid off. So why is this happening? Well, financial losses, and basically the top executives citing a lot of reasons, such as Twitch's CEO Dan Clancy basically coming out and mentioning the closure of the Korean office in February due to prohibitively expensive operations. Interesting choice of words, but hey, that's the reason that he gave, so that's the reason that we're going to stick with. Because if you don't know, Twitch reportedly does not make any money. I know it's hard to look at somebody like Kai or Aiden, who basically founded their career off of Twitch and then made millions of dollars, right? And then the main platform itself isn't making money. It's kind of hard to make that make sense, because usually the way that I've been told is that if company A pays you a certain amount, then they'll probably get 3 to 4 times that themselves, at least. So for Twitch, I think it's different, because if you think about it, Twitch is huge. I mean, obviously. And I think the reason for this is because of network fees and just how expensive it is to run a live stream channel, or just servers. So I would say that the high operation of supporting live stream content on a global scale, and it reportedly costing them $1,000 per month in expenses with each high volume streamer. So not $1,000 a month just in total. With each high volume streamer, it costs them about $1,000 per month in expenses. So in turn, that is when Twitch realizes that if they're not making money, well, they got to start doing something, because it's only going to be so long that the owner, which is Amazon, is going to keep funding them just to break even. At some point, they would like Twitch to actually have some type of increase in return on investment, if that makes sense. So with Twitch paying over $1 billion with a B to streamers in the last year, the layoffs are probably confusing to some, because they probably think that Twitch is just rolling around in cash simply because they're giving out these millions to creators. I mean, that's the whole reason I brought up Kai and Aiden. But when the owner of Twitch, Amazon, is also laying off employees back in November of 2023 they're also laying off employees, then you come to realize that every company is finding themselves, I'm not going to say at a loss as far as revenue, but I would say that companies are realizing that they don't need as big of a workforce to achieve certain results. Because why in the world would you think cutting down the workforce would increase revenue? Well, I think the most expensive thing for a boss is the workers, as far as like the overhead, because you have to pay people to work, and that's probably the biggest fee. And then next to that, I think it's like operational costs. I could be wrong, but hey, that's that's just my guesstimation or my guess. So for a network, for Twitch to basically talk about all these network problems and how it wants to prioritize revenue or ad revenue, and how the I'm trying to say this, but them prioritizing ad revenue not being successful as far as the tactics that they've went about increasing ad revenue, it leads to them trying to make it up in some other way. Like if they're going to keep remaining unprofitable for Amazon nearly a decade after the acquisition, then they probably need to drastically change some things to try to bring in more income. So what does all these words mean? Basically, for you, probably nothing. But if you work for Twitch, if you're looking to work for Twitch, or just any company in general, you'll probably realize that a lot of companies are laying off people. And specifically for Twitch, I just wanted to lay out some of the reasons, because obviously Twitch has a huge implication on the gaming direction. I mean, one of the biggest moments in gaming history, like of all time, happened on Twitch when Ninja was streaming with Drake and Travis Scott, which ultimately brought gaming to another stratosphere as far as the average person wanting to game. So Twitch has been instrumental in so many movements when it comes to bringing gamers and just the gaming, just entertainment space in front of the average consumer, to the point where it's sad to see them go through this, but at the same time, obviously, they will have to figure out something to increase ad revenue, because it's not like they're losing viewership. I mean, I think I saw somewhere their popularity and usership is still increasing. They are just struggling to turn a profit, which I know sounds crazy to the average person, but I'm telling you that the network fees comes with that added usership. Like I said earlier, for every high volume user, I'm trying to find that stat again. For every high volume user, they basically pay about $1,000 per month in expenses. So with the huge cost of live stream content, especially on a global scale like Twitch, I just think that this layoff is basically to try to, I mean, forget Twitch, the layoffs in general in the video game industry, because there's been a lot of, if you've been paying attention to every company, they've been laying off people. It's bigger than Twitch and more of a particular statement on the video game industry as a whole, as also Unity Software. I mean, they announced that 25% staff reduction is in play. So I'm not gonna blame the pandemic, but it's interesting how after 2020, a lot of these companies start to reevaluate their marketing, well, not marketing strategies, but basically their funds and how they allocate them, to the point where they realize that the workforce needs to be cut a significant amount. So at that point, I mean, what can you say? Because I always believe in going where you're wanted. So if one company doesn't want you, then, hopefully, I mean, hey, hopefully somebody else would, somebody will gladly take you off whatever company lays you off. You know what I'm saying? So, for Twitch though, it's sad for all those people who got laid off. And basically, I think including 2023, it's been about 1,000 job layoffs for Twitch, if I'm not mistaken. This move, Yeah, because the previous 2 rounds of layoffs of 2023, totaling around 400 positions. So now it's close to 1,000 in job losses in less than a year. Like I said, the Twitch CEO's main reason for it was due to prohibitively expensive operations. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Twitch laying basically 1,000 people off? It is finally here. Now, when I tell y'all that Rocksteady has had a fantastic track record, I mean a one of one. If you think about all the games that they've developed, published by Warner Bros. Games, when you talk about the Arkham universe, I mean, it's just a workout. It's just a masterclass at its finest on how to create such a great trilogy for such an iconic character. Now, with that being said, this game looks like trash. Now, somebody has to say it, because it's not only does it look like trash, it obviously looks fun from a transversal and from a shooting standpoint, but story-wise and enemy type-wise, it looks very bland to the point where I don't even know if I want to play the game. At first, I was thinking about playing the game and giving it a chance because, you know, I have a confession to make to y'all right now. I enjoyed Gotham Knights. Now, before you click off, because I know you're probably saying that's blasphemous, you probably threw your phone across the room, which, you know, you should probably shouldn't do that because, you know, it may break. But anyways, I played it with my cousin. So technically, my enjoyment of the game was probably higher than anybody who played it solo, because I had somebody else with me throughout the entire campaign. So obviously with Suicide Squad is another game that's multiplayer, and basically you could play the entire game with another player. And with this but with that, you should probably be asking yourself, well, how come you want to give Suicide Squad the same chance that you would Gotham Knights? Technically, I've always been a huge Nightwing fan because of my just affinity for Teen Titans. There's nobody on the Suicide Squad that I care for. Like, in general, the name is terrible. Like, in 2024 going on, like 10 years down the line, I think we're going to look back on a game titled Suicide Squad and wonder how in the world was this marketed? How in the world was this an actual promotional title for a video game? I mean, just talk about the more flagrant takes on insensitive titles ever created. I think Suicide Squad is up there. I mean, at that point, we might as well just go back way in it really wasn't that long ago, and just, you know, title one of the games like Slavery Squad. You know what I'm saying? Like Harriet Tubman type beat. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, the insensitivity is through the roof with the Suicide Squad title. I don't know why I just realized that, because when looking at it and when typing it in, you realize you would get flagged because suicide is a trigger warning, because it's very sensitive. And I know a lot of people don't like to focus on it, and this is a game, you know, not really about that, but technically the title alone is too much. Like, if you're going to have a title that insensitive, then I'm going to point it out. So it's just like when I pointed out in PowerWorld how you can capture humans and use them to do whatever, and it's basically slavery. But, you know, hey, people still playing PowerWorld. So anyways, obviously with Suicide Squad, it's one of those things where they had to come with a compelling story, because obviously it's developed by Rocksteady. I think that would be the saving grace, is the story, because with the Suicide Squad, with the Justice League being in the game, that means that we have something to look forward to when it comes to Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, I believe. Is Wonder Woman in this game? I think so. I forgot. But also Joker. So Joker was just recently announced to be in this game, and not only in this game, but he is a playable character. Now, before y'all say anything, no, it is not the Joker from Rocksteady, or else I don't think it is, because I seen the actual character model and gameplay, and I was like, there's no way that they're gonna tell me this is the same Joker that was giving Batman the beats in his own video game, right? So I don't know where they got this Joker from. It literally just looks like an off-brand version of Joker, but the only thing about it is it's actually in the DC universe. So I don't know what they're doing with that. I don't know if it's an Elseworld Joker. I don't know what they're doing. So anyways, that's the first playable character as far as DLC. And they said that season 1 for Suicide Squad includes a lot of different let me see. Yeah, it includes new boss fights, enemy variants, playable environment based on Joker, and 2 new episodes with activities, missions, and strongholds. So before the game even launches, they're already talking about post-launch content, which technically is not a bad thing, because if the game comes with a lot of content at the beginning, I could see them getting by with this roadmap that they've already shown us before the game even touched down, right? But my thinking is this live service is trying to beg for your attention by letting you know that they put so much effort into scamming you. So as far as getting the standard edition, $70, the deluxe edition is $100, you know, normal stuff, right? Scamming you into thinking you're going to be paying for a whole game when they already showed you that they're trying to get your money with the roadmap. Like, they're trying to do the live service route with the Suicide Squad, and it's just screaming, I don't know if it's Square Enix, I forget who made the game, but it's just screaming Avengers all over again. I think this game is going to be the modern day Avengers, maybe a slight improvement, but that is why I don't take this game over Gotham Knights, because I don't think Gotham Knights was ever approached that from a live service standpoint. Like, it got to the point where they realized that they just needed to make a good game because wasn't nobody believing in that live service. But for Suicide Squad, they still believe that people want to play this game for years to come, and that roadmap that they shown before the game actually launched is gonna matter, right? But I'm just telling y'all, it's just a scam. Like, it's a looter shooter, but in a superhero game. I don't think, like, it could work, but in this setting, I don't think it will ever work. I think the best way to make a looter shooter work is if they ever remaster DC Universe. If they ever remaster DC Universe, I mean, they don't even have to do anything. Take DC Universe, make it, because I think it was I think you can still play that game on consoles to this day. But anyways, take that game, remaster it like BioWare remaster Mass Effect, and just put it out and make that the live service and start to update that game with modern day graphics. I think that's what they need to go at as far as a live service, and give that to Rocksteady. But giving Suicide Squad to Rocksteady and telling them to make a live service game out of it, I mean, if you can't make a live service game out of the Avengers, you're not going to be able to make a live service game out of Suicide Squad. Like, it's just not going to work. I just don't, like, who told them that they was able to make a live service out of this? It's just not gonna work. So anyways, basically the missions that you'll be playing, if you do end up picking up this game, the missions are going to be incursion based, killing time missions, and there's going to be leaderboards for solo and team play. So not only, this game does not look good, but anyways, not only is it's just the leaderboards for solo and team play just threw me off, because what is this, a sports game? Like, imagine going through the story and then the leaderboards pop up and you'd be like, hey, I got more kills than you. Like, do people really care about that in superhero games? Maybe I'm tripping. So anyways, that's basically it. And then this game is set to come out January 30th. With the success of PowerWorld, I wouldn't be surprised if they delay it, but since they've delayed this game so many times, I just think at this point they try, like, hopefully y'all remember and don't ever forget that the reason they pushed this back is because it was so bad. Like, the reason they pushed this game back is because something leaked. I think all the loot or whatever, or it being the looter shooter, because they never said that. I don't think they said that as far as the extent of the looter shooter. Like, they just said, oh, it's an action, RPG game, but they was never like explicitly, oh, it's a bullet spongy, you have to upgrade your weapons. Like, they didn't say none of that. We just thought it was like a story-based game. Come to find out, it's a bullet spongy game filled with bland AI enemy types, and that was leaked to the point where they had to push the whole game back because it was getting so much negative press. So now, for them to come back and show their heads again, acting like they changed a new leaf when it's still a looter shooter, they're still showing you a roadmap trying to take your money after the base game. Well, after you pay for the base game. And 3, it's just not a compelling story. Like, Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, it's like Batman v Superman all over again. Like, that one should not beat the other, but we're just gonna entertain it for story element. Like, I don't know. So anyways, at the end of the day, Suicide Squad is probably gonna be a flop, especially in the midst of Palworld, like the biggest launch ever in gaming history, and this game comes out like 4 days after. Like, hey, good luck. But honestly, I don't want to see Rocksteady fail, because they made the Arkham games, so I just want to see them fail with this game. It's just because, like, go back to making story games not based on greed and taking people's money. So anyways, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League? And also, are you going to play the game when it comes out or no? Now, I knew I wasn't the biggest CTE ball fan whenever the team that's in the Super Bowl, you're literally in the same place as far as location. Now, of course, I'm not going to say which to dox myself, but y'all can probably figure that out. So at the end of the day, this is the most important, the second most important or most anticipated event for me, which is the Deadpool and Wolverine teaser. If y'all have been following the podcast, shameless plug, Notorious Mass Effect, I am a huge MCU fan. I mean, I remember going to the first Iron Man with my dad, all the way into going to Endgame with my dad. So that whole journey of watching superhero movies was something that I experienced in totality as far as the Infinity War saga. So it will always hold a special place in my heart. Now, with all that nerd talk aside, let's get into the reason I even want to cover this. Apparently, this is the only movie that's coming out for Disney. If you don't know, back in May 2023, SAG-AFTRA strike happened, but now it resumed back in November 2023. So this movie was able to get fast forwarded when it comes to marketing and promotion, because if you don't know, Ryan Reynolds is a pretty big deal, and he's going to end up saving the MCU, which is why it's so apparent that the biggest storyline for Deadpool, one of the biggest notorious storylines for Deadpool, is Deadpool saves the MCU. For my comic book fans out there, y'all know what I'm talking about, but if you don't know, then you'll just have to look it up. Now, I just wanted to give you a little 2-minute overview of that. So now, let's get into, because of course this is a reaction to the Deadpool and Wolverine teaser, but it would not be analytic, or I would not be able to call myself Analytic Dreams without having to actually get into the analytics and why this is so impactful to the MCU. So that being said, let's get into the only movie from the MCU to be released in 2024 in its first official teaser.
Happy birthday to you.
All right, okay. It's been a challenging few years, for sure, but I'm happy. That is because of each and every one of you. I'm the luckiest man alive.
Make a wish, buddy.
I like that point in the trailer, because I'm not going to keep pausing it, right? But obviously, I think that every single time something starts off, and they're like, oh, make a wish or something like that, as far as like being vague, is always like setting it up for him possibly wishing that this would have happened and meeting Wolverine. Because if you don't know, Deadpool is a huge Wolverine fan because of the whole X-Men and just how he came on after. Huge Wolverine, huge Spider-Man fan. But the whole Spider-Man collab probably can't happen because, you know, if you don't know, this is probably the first R-rated movie for MCU, I believe. And obviously is the multiverse approach, which in Spider-Man No Way Home, that actually was its approach as well. So now with Deadpool returning with Wolverine, I find it funny that it starts off with, oh, make a wish. And also he's a grown man. That's just obvious. So I didn't want to point that out, but hey, now I did. So there we go. But anyways, let's get back into the teaser. And obviously I'm not going to keep pausing it. Just got to give insight to where I feel like I want to expound upon.
Wade Wilson?
Who's asking?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Is that supposed to be scary? Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
And there goes the Marvel Studios logo, of course. I like how he looks into the camera because, of course, Deadpool breaks the fourth wall and is one of the more popular characters for breaking the fourth wall, other than like a She-Hulk, which not a lot of people knew that She-Hulk broke the fourth wall. They thought they was just doing that for the TV show. But hey, teach his own. So anyways, let's keep going.
Mr. Wilson, you appear to have soiled yourself while unconscious.
I wasn't unconscious. Who are you? Why am I here?
Walk with me. Wade, you are special. This is your chance.
Did they give that man a name tag? What in the world?
You are.
There's a name tag. What is he, like an employee now? That's crazy. It's like a Suicide Squad type employee. But anyways, let's keep going.
Special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
Once again, the fourth wall being broken, but obviously Deadpool is one of the greatest at doing it because Ryan Reynolds being behind the creative team puts it in a way that it's accepted. Because if you don't know, fun fact, before I let the rest of the trailer play, Ryan Reynolds was not greenlit for the first Deadpool movie. He literally had to leak the test footage of his version of Deadpool for them to greenlight it. And then you see where it is today, which should be a testament, not to get too preachy on y'all, you know what I'm saying? But should be a testament to always follow your dreams. If it's not just, you know, even if it's bad, I mean, might as well just follow your dreams. You know what I mean? Like some people fail, some people don't. Just see which one you are. But it isn't for a lack of trying. Let's just say for the bad ones, A, for effort, but for the ones that's actually trying to get somewhere with a quality product, hey, you may end up like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, who wasn't even supposed to be greenlit for the first movie until he leaked the test footage. So anyways, I'm pretty sure you can still look that up to this day, like Deadpool 1 leak footage. And that's literally how he got the first movie greenlit, because all the fans was like, oh, we want this. And then the studios was like, I guess we're back in now because we see that you're actually not just joking about making a quality Deadpool film. Because if y'all remember, X-Men Origins was the first time we seen this version of Deadpool. Never forget that if we would have left off X-Men Origins Deadpool just like set in stone, it would have been the version of Michael B. Jordan's Human Torch. You know how that never came into fruition? This version of the Deadpool is the same version of Deadpool from X-Men Origins. That, ladies and gentlemen and kids, is why you should always follow your dreams. Because now, obviously, this version of Deadpool is highly regarded. And it didn't used to be like that. So anyways, let's keep going. Also, I think that's the Fox logo, if I'm not mistaken, because you know Disney bought Fox or something like that. Yeah, I think they bought Fox, which ended up giving them all the X-Men characters, which is why this is even able to happen. But yeah, I think that's the Fox logo he's fighting in front of. Maybe speculation. I don't know if it's Fox, Paramount. I don't think it's Paramount. I think it's Fox. Fox the one that owned them, I believe. Anyways, let's keep going.
God, please! Oh my fuck! God, I love this part. Wait! Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Well, at least now we have the actual official logo for the movie. So there you have it, the Deadpool official trailer. Obviously, Wolverine wasn't even shown, technically. I mean, his back was shown, I think, in one of the frames. Let me see. I think at the beginning of the frames, his back was shown. Because I don't think Wolverine, I mean, actually, Wolverine wasn't shown at all. But I think Logan, I guess is the correct way to say it, is was shown at the beginning.
About to change forever.
Yeah, I think that's him. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe that's not him. Yeah, I'm just tripping. But anyways, so if that's not him, then I guess this is the first time we actually see Wolverine in the shadow form. So I think at the end of the day, it's very nice to see that they focus on Deadpool, because at the end of the day, this is his movie. It's not like Hugh Jackman has all the time in the world to play Wolverine, like he's out doing other stuff. For Ryan Reynolds, he seems pretty focused and persistent on getting acclimated as one of the best superhero actor duos of all time. Because of course, Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, I think Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool could be the figurehead for MCU going forward. Now, obviously, Deadpool was never like a leader as far as superhero teams like Iron Man, but also you could probably argue that Captain America was the. I don't want to get into too much nerd talk with a reaction, but Deadpool can serve as the conduit to quality movies and giving comedic relief through a multiverse storyline in the MCU. So that's what I would say, because they focus in on all these people like Echo and who else, Hawkeye, and all of these irrelevant characters. Like, I'm glad we're getting back to the super A-list superheroes, and now it's the only slated movie from Marvel in 2024. So there you have it. I'm so glad Bob Iger, shout out to him for cutting back on the amount that they was giving us, because obviously the quality was suffering and they was acting like it was the easiest thing in the world to make a superhero movie, when in all actuality people like some substance with their superhero movies, despite popular belief, as you see with The Boys, Invincible, what's some other superhero shows? That's all I can think of, really. The Boys, Invincible, there's another one, it's like a spin-off of The Boys, Gen V, I think that's what it's called, and then there's another one. Anyways, we like nuance with our superhero stories, and it's never gonna change. So now that MCU is getting back to giving us quality works instead of just quantity, I'm glad that we've seemingly gotten back on the right track with Deadpool and Wolverine slated to come out. Don't they have the release date? What is it at? July 26th. So not too far away. So anyways, let me pull back up the logo. So that's about it for my coverage of Deadpool and Wolverine. At the end of the day, if you stayed this long, I might as well give you my Super Bowl predictions, even though I don't really care too much about caveman ball. I think the team that will win will be the team that scores the most points. How about that? Now, anyways, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Deadpool official teaser trailer? And also, what are you most looking forward to in this upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine movie? The game that everybody has been asking for. I mean, ever since 2013, when the last rendition of the college football game came out, people was clamoring for another college football video game. So it's been over a decade. And now, ladies and gentlemen, EA Sports college football is set to make a comeback. Simply due to the legal battle between paying the players being finally settled with the incorporation of name, image, and likeness, NIL, to be, to abbreviate and stuff for that. But anyways, this game is expected to release July 12th, 2024. But EA Sports came out and said that it has not solidified a specific date and stated that the game is coming out in the summer. I ain't gonna lie, that's the worst way to dispel a rumor. Say, oh yeah, it's not coming out that day, but it's coming out around that day. Like, okay, like, all right, we believe you, wink, wink. Like, that's funny. But anyways, so of course, the game is so big as far as a fan base due to the popularity of college football. I mean, if y'all knew the amount of revenue a university made from just football, I think those players would boycott. I kid you not. Like, if you was the actual star player of a football team, if you knew how much a university made off of a college football season, I think they would boycott. I mean, it's just, there's no other sport that comes close. Like, maybe if you win the championship every year in basketball or tennis it's really no. Tennis, I don't even know why I brought that up. Maybe basketball. That's the only sport I could see that maybe could come close to what football brings in. But college football is really nothing like it. And honestly, if you really want to get into it, it's really nothing like it. Even when you compare it to NFL, like college football still is just, the passion is way more apparent in college football than it is in the NFL. So with my sports take to the side, because, it's not the Stephen A. Smith route, I want to get into the game. And basically, the lawsuit that EA had to deal with. Because if you don't know, a lot of players was mad, irate, upset that the game was making a lot of money off of their likeness, right? So EA Sports had to settle for $40 million. And that is why they didn't resume the game due to the NCAA restrictions on player compensation. So that's why the game stopped in 2013, for y'all who don't know. So since it's been gone since 2013, the previous versions, like the 2014 game, is sold at higher prices. It's still sold at a premium price, and you could charge people for a premium price. Because guess what? Who gonna turn down? Because if you don't know, in video game industry, preservation is a hard thing to come by, especially when a lot of these retro consoles are getting just demolished and just don't work. So when you find an actual retro console that does work, then you have to pay premium price for it. So to correlate that with this, if you find NCAA 2014 game that does work, then you will pay premium price to have it, just to say you have it, because not a lot of people probably still have that version of the game, and which is why it's sold at a high price. So with that being set to the side, let's get into the current status, right? So July is the rumored release date for this game, but EA has said, wink wink, that it's not going to come out that specific date, but acknowledged a summer launch. Now, why in the summer? I think it's also kind of weird, but hey, it's the way they do things. So I do expect for such an immersive experience that college football, by far and away, should be the new Madden. Like when we talk about a football game, no longer should Madden be the upsetting, mediocre child that exists in the gaming industry. We should now have the new standard of football games with NCAA 14. Football, of course. So I would project that this game will probably be one of the more successful video games of all time. When NCAA 23 or 20, it'll be 24, right? Yeah. When NCAA 24 comes out, will it be 24 or 25? Now I can't count. I think it'll be 25 because technically 2024 is already done as far as the championship, and the championship date wouldn't be till next year. So yeah, so NCAA 2025 or 25. Y'all get what I'm saying. The game, right, will be the most successful game, one of the most successful games of all time, putting it up there with the likes of Fortnite, the likes of Call of Duty. I think it has a chance to just and captivate the gaming space simply due to the fact that the multiplayer one, that's going to be insane. Like the playing against people online, but also just in general, sports games tend to sell well because of its gameplay loop, if that makes sense. So with that being said, obviously I may expect for game modes like Road to Glory, other highly anticipated game modes to come back, just being revamped, quality wise, being upgraded, improved, and just expect anticipation to be through the roof, because this type of game is and will always be coveted by its fan base, and deservedly so, because it is one of the better games that's defined my childhood, I would say. So anyways, with that being said, I want to say, was there anything else I wanted to get into? That was basically it. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you don't know, that it was basically discontinued because of the lawsuit to EA. And because of that, you know, they had to stop in 2013. But now they are back, rumored date to be July 12th, 2024. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about NCAA 25 coming back? And also, as far as the game modes, what are you looking forward to playing the most? I ain't gonna lie to y'all. They got me feeling like I'm mad committed, because why in the world do I know the Academics and Young Miami are trading all caps towards one another? Like, you would have thought that caps lock was not even a thing when it came to them exchanging words with one another. You would have thought that was just regular typing, because the way that you use caps is to emphasize a point, right? But to go back and forth and use everything in all caps, like you're shouting and emphasizing every single word that you're saying towards this man or woman. So anyways, what am I talking about? Well, of course, gossip. At the end of the day, ongoing feud between Young Miami and DJ Academics. It's been long-standing beef, simply for the fact that Academics basically tells it like it is. Young Miami kind of retorts what he says with straight insults. That's basically it. So, of course, if you don't know, Academics been on P. Diddy, pause, for his sexual assault allegations. And basically, because of that, and also other things, Young Miami is more inclined to reply to Academics, because guess who can't reply to P. Diddy Academics no more? P. Diddy can't reply to Academics, because I think if Diddy ever tried to contact Academics, it would be on front page news. Like, as far as Academics always saying that he's a law-abiding citizen, if P. Diddy was to contact that man, I think he may be indicted on a RICO for no reason. So with that being said, Academics obviously said a lot of things towards Young Miami and Diddy as far as their involvement. And so Young Miami had enough and basically accused Academics of a lot of things most of them untrue. And academics accused Young Miami of some things, which technically, if we're talking about what happened in the P. Diddy assault allegations, you could summarize, or basically come to the conclusion that some of the things that academics were saying is on point. Because the lack of addressing the points that he was making leads you to believe that what he's saying is true. Like, if you're in an argument with somebody and somebody says something and you completely disregard what he said to bring up some irrelevant point, basically throwing insults at whoever or at the person you're combating with verbally, then I'm going to be led to believe that you don't want to address those comments because they might be true. Because if they weren't true, guess what? You could say they're not true, or you could sue them. Because if somebody's saying something flagrantly false on a platform like academics, you can easily sue them. So, I mean, just look at Tasha K. So, with that being said, obviously, this whole feud between academics and Young Miami goes way back from, I think it was a diss in a nightclub where Young Miami was playing a snippet criticizing academics for speaking about women, and usually academics is the type to respond, never like he doesn't start it. He usually responds. In not all cases, obviously there's some cases where he starts it, but specifically for Young Miami, because, you know, no disrespect to her, but City Girls sold like, I think 6,000 copies first week, something like that, like 6,000, 13,000. It wasn't nothing big, right? It was pretty bad to be on a major label that City Girls are on. So, and I like the City Girls, so I didn't want to see them flop. They just flop. You know, it's like the numbers say they flop. So, anyways, with that being said, Young Miami obviously put a nightclub snippet out criticizing academics for speaking about women. And even though academics speaks about everybody, I think that him talking about Young Miami, especially at a time where it was flopping tremendously, like as far as putting on a masterclass on how to flop, I think the City Girls really achieved that. But that's besides the point, because I do like JT when she raps. But Young Miami academics responded to the nightclub snippet, basically bringing up the allegations against Diddy and suggesting that Young Miami benefited financially from Diddy and other things, you know. And so Young Miami, of course, clapped back and accused academics of certain things about obsessing over her and challenging his credibility. And then Young Miami also accused academics of a lot of things that technically, I'm not going to say, because the way she did it was she quote tweeted somebody else, so she could easily say that she didn't say that. So to get out of it, like if you tried to sue somebody, because you really can't just go around, especially on a big platform or any platform, I think you can't just go around like just disseminating information that's false. You can't just be out here and be like, oh, he got STD. You know what I mean? Just be saying that, just, oh, she got STD. You know what I mean? You can't just be saying that over and over and over, or you end up like Tasha K. Anyways, I don't know why I keep bringing it up. She's just like the most popular figure for just blatantly lying. So anyways, Diddy obviously is not going to respond to academics. So with Young Miami saying what she said, I do have a clip up of academics responding to her and basically reading off one of the tweets targeted towards him. And if you want to see that along with the audio, make sure to type in and just follow Analytic Dreams video on Spotify for the video along with the audio. So with that being said, let's get into this hilarious back and forth between academics and Young Miami, because let me tell you something, if this is not ignorance at its finest, I mean, you would have thought we was watching a Boondocks episode in real time. And without further ado, let's get into the masterclass of academics just straight going in on yet another musician.
She said, "Fat, funky, dirty ass bitch, you a loser. We streaming Kai, old wash bitch." You know the funny part about this? These bitches actually think I'm in.
All right, first off, hold on. What's up with all them adjectives? Like, goodness, like fat, funky, and dirty? Like, that's like a 3-piece and a biscuit, ain't it? Anyways, my fault. I just had to point that out because that was a lot of adjectives, and girls know how to do it, don't they? Like, they just put them adjectives together like it was nothing. like she just really went at us jugular. But anyways, all right, let's see what academics had to say about that clapback in retort.
Shorty, you could even make it on Kai's stream, because he's not going to be streaming with a loser like you. You feel me? At the end of the day, what Kai do is an amazing stream. Kai's the best streamer. But I'm not in competition with him because what I do is definitely different. He's the best at what he does, and I damn sure the best at what I do too. Okay?
That man talking that talk.
Put it like this, Young Miami. The reason why, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, nigga. Let me give you 3 options that's going to happen.
This is wild.
Words. Everybody can write this down. Y'all either finna get dropped.
Hey, hold up. He said write it down. Make sure you get pen, pencil, paper, things of that nature to retain what he's saying right now. But anyways, let's keep going.
It's going to happen. Mark my words. Everybody can write this down. Y'all either finna get dropped.
Okay.
Because you suck. You've been losing fucking money for everybody.
Why he say it like that?
Okay? So you either get dropped or y'all going to separate. I'm giving y'all 12 months. Factuals. Mark it down. Rewrite it. I'm telling you what's going to happen. JT going to do her thing and you're going to keep suck pissed on because that's your only fucking talent. That little piece of shit reality podcast.
Hold on. Hey, first off, I don't condone speaking towards people in that manner. Let's just say this is a PG podcast, right? And that last statement he just said was wild. It's top. It's why he's academics, and obviously it's only so many statements that you can make about this man before you just get to the point where you just say that man just don't care. He just don't care about how you react to anything he says, his tone, none of that. Like, tonality is a real thing. And I think when you don't really see too many of these people you talk about in person, they start to bring up that tonality as an issue, which is why they say he is acting gangster. And it's simply for rants like this.
Podcast you had, that shit ain't coming back. Because you're too fucking lazy to do it on your own. You could keep your shit going on because for whatever reason you did have a buzz doing that. But you're too fucking lazy. Just like you're too fucking lazy to help your fucking teammate out to make some fucking bars. You didn't write shit, you didn't do
Once again, PG Podcast is academics, a very R-rated streamer, but hey, just it's not me cussing, it's him. All right, just, let's keep going.
Shit. You're just a fucking waste of skin.
Yeah, I got to see his eyes when he say this. Like he got to be off something. Like it's like he off the Henny or something. Like why he staring at the camera like that? Like he need help. I ain't gonna lie. That's like these type of rants he go on. It's just like he got to get something off his chest. And I don't know why it takes women to do it, but like maybe it was growing up he didn't get certain women. I don't know what it was, but it's just he has a certain vitriol. And it's so funny, but at the same time, it's so sad. But anyways, it's so entertaining. Let's keep going.
That's a fact. I'm telling you this because I'm not making up shit. I'm telling you this because I've heard everything behind the scenes.
Okay, that's the other thing. So, reason why academics is the GOAT, because he actually does hear things behind the scenes and more, before people discredit it. A specific example I could give is when he literally had the verse, Nicki's verse, original verse off of Motorsport, where she was dissing Cardi, and literally came out, said he had it saying that, Nicki was dissing Cardi. I think Nicki came out something like that, saying, oh, you don't have the verse of me dissing Cardi. And guess what he did? He went on stream and literally played the verse. So it's things like that. He's done that time and time again to make you realize he's not just lying. Like he actually has his, like, he is like in the behind the scenes and talking to certain people who have certain real credible information, which is why when he talks, people listen, because we've come to realize that he's not lying in anything he's saying. So he goes on to talk about Young Miami and how they talk about her not being able to read, not writing her own raps, but we already knew that. I mean, we knew that Yachty wrote Act Up, so, and I think we learned that from Act 2. Anyways, that's what I'm saying. Like, academics is the GOAT. But, when he goes on these type of rants, it's just entertaining for me. But some people, they be taking it personal. But, yeah. I could understand why they would take it personal. Because, I mean, the peed on bar, that was a lot. Like, the only talent getting peed on is just like, that's not even fighting words. That's way past that. So, anyways, let's wrap it up with that. So anyways, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about that hilarious back and forth between academics and Young Miami? And also, What do you think is the main reason people have a problem with academics? Now, can't we all just get along? I mean, it hurts my heart to cover this in the way I'm gonna have to cover it, but for some reason, Ice Spice and Lotto are beefing. Now, if you don't know, Lotto just recently hopped on a new track, and by new, I mean it was a track that I think I added to my playlist. It was pretty solid. It wasn't too much. I thought it was gonna be better, but it wasn't bad. So Back Outside with Anicia. I think it's Anicia. Anyways, I probably mispronounced that. That track. Oh, the promotion. Yeah. So the promotion for it, basically in the background, she had Ice Spice playing video playing while she said, "I just wanna one-on-one. I don't know why she's so nervous." So for the promotion of somebody else's track that you're a feature on, you have a snippet saying, "I just want a one-on-one. I don't know why she's so nervous." Coincidentally, as you play an Ice Spice video in the background. And that was the only time the Ice Spice video was there throughout the entire music video. So now, come to find out, after a lot more research, Ice Spice and Lotto have been rumored to have some beef for quite some time. Obviously, there's no actual concrete evidence, but if you think about it, there was no concrete evidence of Nicki and Cardi beefing before it actually came about. So with Ice Spice and Ice Spice and Lotto, I'm not going to say that's a rollout, but it literally makes no sense that these two would be beefing other than publicity. So as far as trading subliminal jabs, this is going to be a wild comparison, but it reminds me of what Drake and Jay-Z used to do, where they would trade jabs at one another, but it was never like real beef. So whenever you would talk about Jay-Z and Drake's beef, it was never like, oh, when they see each other, it's going to be a problem. It's just more of like subtle jabs trying to figure out who's better than who. I think the fan base did that as far as pitting the two against each other, but then also, not only that, both of these artists are immensely successful on the charts. I mean, Lotto with Jungkook still to this day has a top 5 single on Billboard Global, and then Ice Spice is the only female rapper with the most #1 hits in US Spotify chart back in the year of 2023. So when you look at the success of Ice Spice, or if you look at a success of a Lotto, you have to really start comparing it, because from a standpoint of just strictly plays and downloads on the biggest DSP in the world, which is Spotify, I mean, Lotto has 26.5 monthly listeners, while Ice Spice has 24.3 monthly listeners. So I think it's to the point where these two are really competing for that top new girl in the hip hop space, because for some reason, Sexy Red, Glorilla, I'm trying to think who else, Bia, there's a lot of women rappers in the game, but as far as at the top, I think we only really look at certain artists, whether it's as far as like newcomers, we only look at Ice Spice and a Lotto. Obviously, Lotto's more of I'm not gonna say a veteran, but has more experience in the game. Let's just say that, as it's just been a lot of times where Lotto would just come on a track and completely showcase her lyricism, to where Ice Spice, I think, is below average when it comes to rapping. But I don't think that's definitely a slight, but it wasn't supposed to be as aggressive. So basically, I just don't think Ice Spice is a type of rapper to showcase lyricism. I think it's more of a visual element that comes with Ice Spice that enhances her career, whereas Lotto, I think visual and actual lyricism is at play. So yeah, with that being said, it's really nothing too crazy as far as like getting into both of these artists, because at the end of the day, Ice Spice is breaking records Lotto's breaking records. I mean, can't we all just get along? Like, this is insane. Like, how did this beef come out of nowhere? And then ultimately, my last take on Ice Spice versus Lotto is it's a fake beef. Like, it's all for publicity. Maybe they hit each other behind the scenes. It was like, hey, probably drum up some more buzz if we hate each other. Let's just do that, throw subliminal jabs, but never really go too far. And then it was like, hey, bet. And then maybe that's what they're doing. I could see that happening, as publicity stunts happen all the time and y'all don't even notice. So, yeah, that's my last takeaway from Ice Spice versus Lotto. So anyways, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about Ice Spice versus Lotto? And also, who do you think is the better overall musician?
I know.
Drake is
Because we're here
pop.
for truth. We're here for truth.
Drake is pop to me.
Right, that's fair. In the sense that it's charting like pop music, popular music.
In the sense, like, if I was in Target in Houston and I heard a Drake song, so it feels like a lot of his music is compatible with shopping.
Commercial music.
Or as
Commercial music, yeah.
shopping with an edge in certain instances. Or
Fair. I like Drake's music, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
of course, I mean,
It's
I get
commercial, entertaining, fun, good,
it's
formulaic music.
it's likable.
Likeable music, yeah.
It's likable music. You know, Cat Williams got everybody in their bag when it comes to hating. So I'm not even mad at Mos Def. He looked at Drake, he looked at Cat Williams, and he was like, you know what? It's my turn now. And I understand. I mean, when Drake is competing with the likes of Taylor Swift, you know, Bad Bunny, Morgan Wallen, none of them are in the hip hop space. So, you know, just breaking speed records on roads that these OGs paved, and obviously they don't like it. You know what I'm saying? So, whenever you start hating on somebody because their music is likable, you're basically saying that at the end of the day, this man is such the GOAT at the craft that we can't even compare him in the same realm of hip hop, because he's competing with other musicians that he shouldn't even be competing with. Because if you don't know, I mean, hip hop's been the #1 genre for the past, what? I would say decade plus. So, well, since the 90s. So even more than a decade. So when it comes to Drake building all this hype and anticipation, as far as time and time again, somebody else in the hip hop space could have did the same thing, because the genre has been #1 since the 90s. But did they? Of course not, because Drake's the GOAT. So when Mos Def is hating, and which is, you know, he's most definitely hating, you know, that's probably what it stands for. At the end of the day, you just look at the stats and you just compare. And a wise man once said, comparison is the thief of joy. So if your joy is just being stolen by this light-skinned person from Degrassi, I would hate too. You know what I'm saying? How in the world does somebody named Jimmy in a wheelchair get up and start running the hip-hop game? Y'all let me know. Because with Mos Def, he's a phenomenal rapper. But then guess who else is a phenomenal rapper? And guess who else makes hits on top of hits on top of hits? So when it comes to somebody just spreading blatantly false information, saying that Drake isn't hip hop, the best thing he could come out and say is, I was wrong. I was hating like most of the old heads are doing towards Drake right now, which is why I had a whole episode. Yeah, shameless plug. I had a whole episode basically talking about Drake versus hip hop media. If you search Notorious Mass Effect, Drake versus hip hop media, it should definitely pop up. And more specifically, not even hip hop media versus old head hip hop media, because they just do not understand what it takes to get to Drake's position. So guess what? If you don't understand what somebody or someone did to get to a position that you want to be at, but you failed to do so, you start to make excuses for why he's at that position. So now it falls in the category of hating. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we done made a full circle moment, as haters are always going to hate because they couldn't do what whoever did at the level that they tried to do but failed at. So if I see somebody and he did something I wanted to do, but I tried and I failed, I'm going to say, oh, he only got that because he sold his soul. Oh, he only got that because he been mentored by this person. Oh, he only got that because I'm hating. Like, I wish somebody would come out and say that. I wish somebody would just be like, hey, I'm just hating. Like, I'm just putting a bullet on this hate and sending it towards somebody's way, right? Because letting somebody know your true intentions is way more honorable than you hiding behind the veil of, oh, this is constructive criticism. Like, no, my brother, you are most definitely hating. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about this old head hating? Well, another old head, yet another old head hating on Drake. And also, at the end of the day, I mean, with Drake being the GOAT, how many more old heads do you think are going to come out to hate on him? So that's about it for episode 134. Let me tell y'all something. This was definitely a longer episode than I planned for, but at the end of the day, I will get these topics done and delivered to y'all because y'all been supporting tremendously. I mean, we're around 70 to 80,000 weekly downloads, and that type of support is immense and definitely deserves my undivided attention when it comes to producing content that y'all will enjoy time and time again. So hopefully you enjoy this topic, this jam-packed episode filled with gaming and hip-hop topics, ranging from industry to specific people. And at the end of the day, I mean, as always, thank you for tuning in to the Notorious Mass Effect podcast, and don't be afraid to send me an email letting me know what you think of the show and what you want me to talk about in the next episode. Click my link tree in my bio to access my social media and to keep up on my latest activities. If you want to support the show financially, click my Cash App link located towards the bottom of my link tree, as it helps the show overall. Make sure to share this podcast and rate this 5 stars on whatever platform you are currently listening on, as this helps the show reach more people so we can grow together and affect the masses. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Notorious Mass Effect.